Hey everyone, you're listening to the official podcast of 4playernetwork.com. Check us out at that address for everything you need to know about our community, monthly giveaways, and nightly live streams. You can even support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4player. And last but not least, you can catch the live recordings of these podcasts every single Thursday night on our Twitch channel. We hope to see you there. Enjoy. Welcome to 4Player Podcast. Oh my god, another one. It is episode 554. Tonight is... What's the fucking date today? What month is this?
June 7th.
Okay, you're reading that off the screen.
It is down there. It is June 7th.
I should have done that. It's June 7th, 2018. Mm-hmm. My name is Nick Henderson, and I am joined this evening by Crispy.
Hey, what's up?
Nolan.
How's it going, everybody?
And Chris Davis.
Good evening.
And, it's almost E3 time, guys.
Is
everybody ready?
I love E3. Do not get me wrong. It's hard for me to get preemptively excited because we have to go through air travel.
You really dread the travel part.
I hate airplanes, man.
I love the travel part. But the thing is, booking, like the past 3 years, I managed to book like straight flights, no layovers anywhere. So there's that. It will be a short, quick, like 2.5 hour.
Can't wait.
3 hour flight. Nice.
But when do we have to be there, Nick?
On which day? Monday or Friday?
I'll tell you what. Friday is going to be a pain in the ass.
Monday is going to be smooth sailing.
Friday is going to be one of those no sleep red eyes that we do so well.
Yeah, remember how that went last time?
Yeah.
We are going to be.
Wait, you're not flying Southwest, right?
God damn it, Nolan. Yes, we are. Please.
Why? What happened with Southwest? Oh my God. I don't know. Tell me. What happened? I don't know. Tell me.
Nothing. Their flights are wonderful.
No, what happened?
Are you serious?
I don't know. Tell me.
Are you serious?
Yes, I'm 100% serious. What happened?
The lady that the engine had the problem, and then the lady almost got sucked out of the window. That was Southwest.
Not almost. She did, but like halfway.
But they pulled her back in.
After she
did
died.
not. She did not survive. She didn't.
Wait.
Are you serious, Crispy?
I didn't know this.
This was like
she died?
like in April.
Yes.
She got sucked out of a window and died?
Yes.
Well, she died of like a heart attack, not of...
Probably from getting sucked out of an airplane window?
Yeah.
What?
Oh my god. This what? We've just started and this fucking podcast is taking a turn.
That's not... I don't know. That just seems like act of God kind of... I thought you guys were going to say that they were like...
No, they...
Arming the stewardesses with like... riot gear, and they just go up the halls now and are just like randomly beating people for no reason.
No,
that's United.
Yeah, that's United.
Definitely nothing like that. Why did we have to talk about this, Nolan? Why did you insist on bringing this up, man?
I figured you wouldn't fly Southwest, or maybe their flights are just cheaper now.
No, I bought the flight before
that's
it
what you
happened.
do, because last year we flew Continental or something, and that was right after that doctor got the shit kicked out of him.
No, it was United.
That was United.
Oh, that was United?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
whatever airplane it was, like we flew
Is Continental still a thing?
Yeah. No, they were purchased by United.
Yeah, United.
But they still
They
operate as Continental, don't they?
No, they do not.
I don't believe so.
Guys, this is not an airplane podcast.
I know.
So the Boeing 747
No
just released an upgrade.
No
They
more.
heard the news about the Dreamliner?
Oh my god,
Dude,
guys.
do you think we could do that? Do you think we could carry on a conversation about airplanes for an hour?
I think we could get pretty far.
Yeah.
Do you know the name
damn it.
of the
As
principal
far
of
as a Boeing 737 flies on a single tank?
Right. The 747 is far superior and has a greater cargo load, paradoxically.
But the smaller size of the 737 allows it to fly a farther distance with less fuel.
Right, and it can also fly lower to the ground.
That's true.
Yeah.
This is the worst podcast we've ever done.
Do you know the name of the principle of physics that allows planes to achieve lift, to achieve flight? Named after a famous
Nolan's
mathematician.
knee-jerk reaction when anybody
Coriolis.
asks him if he knows something is to go yes, even if he doesn't know.
No, I know what it is. It's the something effect, and it's the fact that it has to do with air pressure, because when the air is going over the wing, it's a higher pressure above than below, which is what gives you lift.
Bernoulli's
Bernoulli.
principle.
There you go.
Yes.
God damn it.
Right.
I know what it is. I just forgot the
To
name
generate lift.
Well, you know what? I didn't know what it was.
Well, you learned something on this podcast, Nick.
Yeah.
That's true. Anyway,
where do we go
Can we
from here?
rein this back in? It is. We are like mere days away from E3.
Yeah.
So I want to go ahead and quickly remind everybody out there, if you're watching us live, if you're listening for the first time, whatever, E3 is next week. We're starting our coverage on Sunday. It's the first day with all the like big major press conferences. Microsoft is at 3 in the afternoon. It's 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Bethesda's at like 8:30.
That's the only time zone that matters, Nick.
Yeah, Central Standard
Come
Time.
on.
But we're going to be live all day. We're going to be live around noon. And we're going to be playing games. We're going to be talking about E3, and then we're going to do live commentary of the press conferences. And then if all goes well, hopefully we'll record a podcast that night just talking about the ones we've already seen. And then we're flying to LA on Monday, and we'll be recording podcasts and stuff all week. So there are details on the site at 4playernetwork.com if you want to find out all about our schedule and how we're planning to cover the show this year. One thing I'm trying to do a little new this year is I want to get feedback from people, like comments, questions, and whatnot about the show throughout the week that I'll bring up on the podcast, and we'll use it to kind of steer conversation and whatnot. So anytime during the week, if there's something you want to ask or say about the show, you can email me at nick@4playernetwork.com, and we'll kind of read those out throughout the show while we're talking about stuff. Should be a good time. Of course, you can also jump into our Discord, which is at discord.gg/4player. We'll be in there periodically. Even those of us who are on the show floor, you'll probably be able to find us in there during the oh my god, this is killing me. During the show, so that should be fun. But yeah, Sunday is when we're kicking it off, and perhaps more importantly, Thursday night we're going to try and do a community meetup. So
Not try to. We are.
Well, I mean, people have to show up. That's why I say try.
I mean, if you don't show up, we're just having dinner. So
That's true. We're going to be having dinner on Thursday night. We
and
hope some
we're
people
gonna like it.
And you know what? It's going to be great. So if anybody out there is in the LA area for the show, or if you just happen to live in LA or whatever and you want to come out, we're going to be meeting at Button Mash LA, which is where we've done it the past 2 years. It's a great little arcade/restaurant that's treated us pretty well in the past. So
Yeah.
if you're in the area, you can find all the details you need to know about that on the site as well at 4playernetwork.com. Also, if you are planning on going, please let us know. Leave a comment in the on the post and just let us know you're planning on coming. That way we can get we know what to expect when the day comes. But yeah, before we get too far, I kind of wanted to open the show with what's everybody's favorite E3 memory? I know Crispy said he had one. Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
My favorite E3 memory is when they announced StarCraft Ghost.
I knew I shouldn't have.
No,
I knew I shouldn't
joking.
have brought this up.
Actually, my favorite E3 memory was the first year that I went to E3 when we went to the Sony press conference.
Which
Because
one was that?
that press conference was the one where Hideo Kojima came out and announced Death Stranding for the first time, and we're all sitting there like, "What the fuck is this?"
2016.
That was also
Was that the one where we got ushered in? No, that wasn't. That was the one where they announced God of War. Never mind.
no.
No,
I'm thinking of it.
that was the next. That was a year after.
This
Yeah, it
was
was
the
following
one. No. This E3 that I'm talking about was 2 years ago.
Yeah,
Okay.
2016.
Last year we didn't get in.
Well, yeah, no, that was the one, Nick. When we were like running down the hallways.
Yeah, when
and
they were like, "Come on, it's
they're like,
starting," and
"Let's
we were
go,
just like fucking
let's
hustling
go."
down the hallway.
Oh my
remember?
god!
Yeah.
They announced God of
Yeah.
War 2 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, that's that's what they opened with. I
Yeah,
think
'cause
was
we
God
walked
of
in
War,
as they were showing the trailer.
and I kind of retroactively appreciate that a lot more now because at the time I was kind of just like, man, whatever. But yeah, that was God of War.
Resident
that
Evil
was
7?
Resident Evil 7.
Days
That was
Gone.
Death Stranding. That was Days Gone. There was a lot of
good
shit
show.
that year. And then afterwards, we went over to that. We went over to that little event they
Party
had next
area.
door.
Mhm.
Yeah, where they had all the free food
That was
and
when
beer.
Hideo
And
Kojima's
we-
bodyguard elbowed me in the chest.
Right, yeah. Nolan almost got fucking trucked by a bodyguard for Hideo Kojima. And,
just wanted to say
and
hi.
we saw Conan O'Brien, and it was great.
And there were strange people carrying around giant
Giant like
trays of
litters
food.
of
like chicken wings and stuff.
Yeah.
They're,
Yeah.
like stretchers full of chicken. wings.
Yeah, it was like the last days of Rome. It was
Yep.
amazing.
Kinda
Yeah,
was, yeah.
that was a pretty good one. Anybody else have any memories they would like to share?
So when you kind of
I know I sprung this on
a
you
little
guys.
bit, and Crispy had started mentioning an E3 several, and I was like, oh, I guess I could think of E3s that I wasn't physically at. I mean, I've been tuning into E3s for years, but I can't really remember one. I do remember last year we got all of us before the show. I think it was right before, the day before we were getting our badges and stuff, and we met Jonah Falcon. So that was cool, I guess.
Jonah Falcon.
Yeah, if you don't know who he is, just Google him.
I don't know who he is. I'm gonna have to.
Jonah
Yeah,
Falcon.
me either.
Yeah.
Oh man.
We
We all met him.
Yeah, we didn't like talk to him too much, but he,
This is some
What
bullshit.
year was
no,
this?
we were. I think it was either last year or 2 years ago. We were filming something
I
else.
was there.
I think so.
Oh well, we yeah, because we filmed day before outside of the convention center
Oh,
both
the guy with
times.
the big penis.
Yeah.
Oh Yeah, that's right. You were like, that
How
dude
is that your
has
go-to
the biggest
point for that?
Nolan just like points this guy out of the crowd and is like, that guy has the biggest penis in the world. And I was like, what are you talking about, Nolan?
It's true.
I remember that guy. He had a huge dick.
That was like, oh my god, that was so funny.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nolan.
What? You're welcome. I can just spot those big dicks a mile away.
Is he like wearing basketball shorts or something?
He was wearing
And it was still poking
He was
out.
wearing a leotard.
Holy shit, that was really funny.
Oh man,
All
that was
three
good.
legs.
Well, no, like we were filming that thing, and I was like, guys, I think that's that Jonah Falcon guy, and everyone was like, who? And I was like,
They're like, oh, I have his biography right here.
Nolan's the human dick detector, says Zero Skies.
yep.
That is funny.
I am the world's greatest dick detector.
Dick detector?
Dick detector.
You're a dick
Dick
detective.
detector?
What do you do?
Which is ironic because dick is already a euphemism for detective.
Detective, exactly.
What do you
God.
think the
He's a
title of his
world-class
autobiography
dick.
is?
That is fucking hilarious. Chris Davis.
How's it hanging?
God damn it, Chris.
Okay. What do you have a favorite E3 memory you'd like to share?
My first year going to E3 before meeting you guys, just going on the tour of like the various conferences and getting in and being on the list was nice. But
that
like,
doesn't happen very often.
no, it doesn't. But like oh god,
My
like,
favorite was the year we got locked out in the rain from the Microsoft conference, and everybody there got free Xboxes.
Yeah.
That shit.
Oh no, I
we weren't really in the rain, but that shit sucked.
Yeah, I didn't go to the Galen Center. I had a pass to go to like the secondary site,
Yeah.
which was like
The
in the
bullshit site.
hotel.
A lot of people
Yeah,
had
we
that
were there
pass.
too. That was a bullshit.
Okay.
We were in the bullshit site.
Remember how the crowd was like, "Oh shit, we're all," and then it took about 5 seconds for it to sink
Everybody
in with
realized
everybody.
we're not there.
We're
Yeah.
not getting it.
Yeah.
There were some very angry people in that crowd too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, the year that Skyrim was coming out and Todd Howard was doing his presentations about that.
I do
That
remember
man
that. After we all
was
of us,
very tired.
most of us were in a room with Todd Howard, and he was actually talking about Skyrim, and he was talking about how like every item in the game you can pick it up and you can interact with it and all this stuff. And he like in the video he like caught a fish out of the lake or out of like the stream or whatever. And it was like analyzing, and he's talking about how you can dual wield weapons. And I was like, Todd, can you like dual wield fish? And he just kind of like stood there for a second, and he was like, I don't think. He's like,
Does it matter?
I remember being way more impressed.
You got me. Can't dual wield fish.
I remember being way more impressed with that presentation because one of the things they showed in that was one of the first dungeons. When you pick up that dragon claw thing and you spin it around and like the
oh, the
secret's on
symbols.
there.
Yeah.
And I was so impressed with that.
And
And
then
then you do it once and twice and 3 times.
the only puzzle in
and
the
that's
game.
the only puzzle in the fucking game.
Yeah.
I was
Oh my
like,
God.
God,
I wish-
Really
I wish-
shot their watch.
I wish the reaction you got when you asked that question was not that he was like, I don't think so. It would have been like him just like, you see like a light bulb go on in his head. Like, oh my God.
that's perfect.
I remember going to an IDOS presentation for Hitman Absolution. It had just been announced, and this was like the first thing they were showing of it, and it was the library level where you're escaping.
Oh
from
yeah,
the cop.
I went to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I
And
went-
like
yeah.
the entire presentation, I think it was a good presentation, but they didn't say a fucking thing during the entire thing. Said we're gonna start the video now, and
It was just silence.
then just silence, and then the video ended like, "Thanks for coming, bye."
yeah, they maybe work on their presentation skills.
I think said it was a good video.
I think 2 years ago, I met Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
Oh yeah,
That was pretty fucking awesome.
Nice.
Just like walking around the show floor.
I remember. So 2 memories come to mind for me. These are both at my own expense. One was of course when.
Project Natal.
Well, yeah. That might.
Was
That's
that a good memory for you?
That was my.
That's
a good memory.
For
You were
as it was for
chosen.
us?
That was my first E3 I think ever.
Yeah.
I think, and like the first event we ever went to as a group, and of course I ended up on national television in 2 places. That was fantastic. If anybody doesn't know what that video is still out there if anyone wants to see it. But I was gonna say when we went to Microsoft, and it was the year that what was Ice-T there for?
Oh,
who cares?
I don't remember.
I think it was Gears of War. And Ice-T came out on stage, and I remember like turning to Joseph, like we were all taking notes, whatever. And I turned to Joseph, and without even thinking, I was like, Joseph, is it iced tea or iced tea? Joseph just fucking lost his shit. He didn't give me. He didn't answer me. He just immediately turns to Brad, like Brad, you're never gonna believe what just asked me. And I was like, I'm never gonna get away from that one ever.
Yeah.
So
The thing is, you're the one that always brings up that story.
I know.
Like nobody else brings it up. You just keep bringing that
I
up on
legitimately
yourself.
think that's one of the funniest things I've ever said.
It's a funny
It's a good story, though.
So fucking white.
I'm pretty proud of that, actually.
Oh, you're proud of how white you are?
No, it's like, oh! Oh my god, I regret bringing this whole topic up. Let's move on. I hope everybody is a success. I was pretty proud of my comment. That's all.
Today, some of my coworkers were talking about how another coworker recently had a baby. And they are, multiple times I've seen them in Make America Great Again hats. I'm not a fan of their opinions, but anyway, like one of my coworkers posted a picture of like the Instagram post, and his name is Jackson, Jaxon, and I was like, and of course their baby's white.
Jesus Christ,
Jackson with an X.
Oh my god. I don't even know where to go from here. Anyways, I hope everybody's sufficiently excited for E3. We're getting pretty excited. So join us Sunday. Like I said, we're going to probably be live by noon or so. We'll be live all day. It'll be exciting. We'll be talking about live commentating and playing games on the feed. So hopefully you guys will join us there. But without further ado, let's get into this. We have a few games we want to talk about tonight, including Vampyr.
Yeah.
Vampyr. And some other things. But before we do that, I want to read some feedback from last week's episode. Of course, you can leave us feedback, questions, comments on anything we talk about in the show, and we will kick off the next episode by reading those comments and reacting to them, responding to them.
What?
So what?
You're going to have to get up and scroll down.
Oh no! I won't. I have my phone right here.
Oh,
it'll work.
You could have just done that in the first place. And then
Well, you're
wouldn't
gonna have to
had
get up and close that window then.
God, what have I done? This whole this
You know what?
this
I
Switch
bet
deck
you-
thing is
I
killing
bet
me.
you if I throw this, I can hit the mouse just right.
Don't do that.
Do it.
Anyways,
your computer's been through enough this week.
Throw business cards at it.
our first bit of
Mon ami.
feedback this week comes from Mr. Green Toast. He says, in regards to the idea of having penises replace your fingers, because we did talk about that last week.
Sure, not a porn site. Go on.
Yeah.
In real life, a similar thing happened, but in reverse. In 2001,
Oh, I did hear about this.
a Georgia man had lost his penis to cancer and underwent an operation to remove his left middle finger and use skin taken from his other arm to shape and bind it to work as a replacement penis. The finger was first turned inside out to create a channel which allows conventional urination, and the bone was left to provide rigidity when needed. What?
It's a literal boner.
And not only has it been a success, but the man has been able to still have an active sex life.
Ali G was talking about him. He has a dong bone.
I legitimately have questions about this. Like, how do you have a bone in your actual penis that you can only use when needed?
Isn't it kind of weird that boners are normally boneless?
Yeah. It's a little strange. Oh my god.
Well, like when it's flaccid, it's just like bent.
It's
the
like
knuckle.
it's in three. It's like in three segments.
But you can't control it.
Does his dick have a knuckle on it? Like,
I mean, I would assume he either has to, or they gave him those things that like the pump things that guys get.
The pump things that guys get.
Have you not seen like the
penis pumps.
No, not that. It's
Awesome.
like no. It's like a because you know how a penis works, right, Nick?
Are you asking me if I know how a penis works?
Seriously.
How it's engorged with blood? Is that what you're
Yes.
basically?
Well, sometimes when guys
Thank you.
when guys
Thank you,
can't
Nolan,
do
for
that,
assuming I didn't know about that.
they like have a thing where you can put like tubes in there. You feel me?
No, they don't.
Yes. Yes, they do.
I love how we sometimes talk about video games on this podcast.
I don't know. I can't remember if this was a fake or a real part, but I remember seeing something with like a pump in like the testicle, so you could like pump up. Like, yes, that's a thing. Someone Google that.
So, yeah. Somebody there wants to Google
don't
that.
Google that. Don't Google that.
Holy shit.
Wait, so like one of the testicles was actually a pump?
Yeah, it got like it's
What
so
if
you
you
can
have to, like,
pump. Yes.
What if you forget which one it is and you like squeeze the
I'm
wrong?
pretty sure you'll
I'm
very
sure
easily
you
know.
Notice immediately.
Oh God.
Oh God! How are we starting our show with this now? Too.
Hopefully, the next comment
it's
has a little
Mr.
more on
Greentoast's
topic.
fault.
Oh, thank God. All right, our next comment comes from Live at the Milky Way, and this is related to Detroit. Nice discussion on Detroit, guys. I want to add my 2 cents, as it seems my experience was fairly different than yours. This game incorporated imagery that was obviously inspired by racial tension in our history, such as labeled arm patches and mid-city marches. However, race never seemed to me like the core of this game's message. Rather, it was just used as inspiration for writing the story about androids. To me, this game seemed more interested in exploring the definition of being alive, because the moments that harken back. Hold that thought. Because I know where you're going, Crispy. Because the moments that harken back to themes of segregation and racism felt very basic and done before, whereas the moments dealing with consciousness felt challenging, in a way I haven't really experienced to this degree. I was overwhelmed with instances that seemed to pressure me into answering questions for myself regarding artificial intelligence. Like, should they be considered a new life form? Are they alive? Ultimately, though, my biggest criticism of this game branched off of that, because I'm very opinionated about AI in general. He doesn't go into detail about that. But I was really disappointed with how it handled the subject, not exploring the science enough, and constantly assuming the player is in favor of AI having these rights. For the record, I didn't like Detroit overall, despite it being beautiful and well acted, and David Cage saying this game has no message is clearly bullshit. There's a lot to unpack there.
Can I ask a question about this game?
You certainly can. I don't have to.
Do you, at any point whatsoever in this game, actually control a human?
No.
Okay.
Which...
No. I mean, not in any of the paths I went through.
Are you about to get metaphorical on me here?
No. Something happens, and the question spoilers?
Oh my God. Wait. Now I'm genuinely curious, because there's nothing in my game that I can think of that would have...
Did you run into a section where you were asking people questions?
Like in every fucking Quantic Dream
Oh yeah,
game?
that's good. So you had an audience of people in front of you, and they were asking questions, and you were...
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. That doesn't count. That's.
But then the question is, was that a human?
Oh my God! Shut up, Nolan. That is in complete violation of the spirit of the
some
question.
kind of Quantic Dream TED
It
Talk or
is.
something?
It is.
I don't know what scene he's talking about.
It's a press junket at the White House.
Oh,
And you are just like hitting buttons to make the reporters ask questions, but like they're all just prompts, and the game doesn't go on until you hit a button. Really,
Okay.
I don't think that.
Okay.
I don't think that counts. Not in any meaningful way.
Okay. If you say so.
I'm just saying.
I will say
that
this.
was a glorified cutscene.
I will say this. I do appreciate the question, and I appreciate his the way he saw the game. However, I do think he can... I mean...
I think there's a lot of room for subjective opinions about this game. I think certain things, like the subtext, we can reach a rather objective consensus on. And I think to say that this game doesn't have a racial subtext to it is just kind of completely ignoring the game.
Because it was like everywhere.
That's a huge part of what's going on here.
It is.
I mean, even if it is just woven into the game as like a cultural touchstone for people to build some sort of empathy towards what this game is ostensibly about, it is there. I think even if Live at the Milky Way's premise that race was kind of just used as a jumping off point for us to get to a completely different story, I think that's still, how the author treats that subject and what they do with it and at what point they discard it is also very much part of the overall subtext of the story and a valid point of criticism. When he's talking about this game dealing with the nature of consciousness, I'm sorry, I do not see it. There is...
I didn't feel personally challenged about that at any point.
These characters' like sense of personhood and consciousness is absolutely a given from the get-go. Just by the way the story is written, how you interact with them.
It's never a question.
It happens pretty quickly.
Which you also kind of said later on in your comment that like that the game is written from a perspective where there's not even really any room for the objecting viewpoint that AI is not personhood, is not intelligence. But like They don't get, like you said, they don't get into the science of how this might work at all, which I don't think is necessarily a misstep because that's pretty esoteric. But they also don't get into the philosophy of it at all, really.
Which I think is really, I think is crazy when you think about the type of story they're trying to tell. Like, how can you? I feel like you'd have to try to avoid delving into the philosophy of it.
Exactly, and they definitely get a lot. There's a lot of like pseudo philosophy and a lot of social science stuff when it comes to whether or not they deserve to be treated as a second-class citizen or object or people or what have you. But there is very little, at least in any of the paths that I played, there is very little actual discussion about, you know, there's not really that much of like comparing and contrasting why a human's sense of consciousness, why a human sense of self agency would be different from an android's. It's just kind of not there at all. In fact, the only thing I can really think that even gets close to it is that idea of the characters having this like sense of self that's breaking out of their form and trying to like burst through that wall of programming, which really at the end of the day is just kind of a neat visual metaphor. They don't like if they were really concerned about the philosophical concept of like, how can this machine develop consciousness, how can this machine develop a sense of self, I mean, you'd be talking about where does that version of them, where does that like golden figure that's coming out of their body in the metaphorical sense, where does that come from? You know, like when you start separating, like, are you your thoughts? Are you your memories? Are you a combination of the two? Are you some other thing that is just experiencing all that? You know, can you completely remove your id and your ego from your consciousness and still be a complete thing? Like, this game just doesn't even try to talk about that.
And you know what's funny? Because he mentions it in his comment, and I was wondering, like, I was starting to think about it, like, I feel like this game would have been more maybe satisfying from a storytelling or a narrative perspective if you were jumping between playing as a character who was an android and playing as a character who was a human.
Correct. So that's what I thought was going to happen.
And making both of those characters sympathetic in some way, and like and trying to decide, well, which one are you loyal to? Which one, like, play the characters off of each other, and then that kind of forces the player to pick a side, which might actually end up saying something. But from the beginning, all three of these characters you play as in Detroit ultimately are presented in such a way that, yeah, of course you're going to kind of sympathize with them and want them to be free and not be quote-unquote slaves, like they keep dropping over and over again in the game. It just seems like a missed opportunity. I did enjoy the game ultimately, but I do think it is
we'll get to it.
Pretty big missed opportunity.
The impression section,
because Nolan finished it, Crispy finished it. I know we'll bring that up a little bit. So, of course, thank you for your comment. We appreciate it. But for now, let's move on. We do need it. We do have other things we want to talk about tonight. I guess the first one is impressions wise is a new game which Nolan and I, at the very least, I know have played a little bit of. Sadly, I haven't played as much as I would have liked to play before recording this episode. But oh well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about Vampyr.
Vampyr.
This is the new game from Don't Nod, the guys that made Life is Strange and Remember Me, which is two, like, as far as if you compare and contrast those two games, those projects are like worlds apart. And I was wondering how much of like Life is Strange is going to end up inspiring how this game feels and it shapes whatever. Because I feel like Life is Strange had a certain amount of polish that maybe Mirror's Edge, Remember Me lacked. But I feel like they've.
I think Remember Me lacked basically everything.
Yeah, more or less. The pendulum has kind of swung back in that direction. I think this is probably, to me at least, first impression wise, feels a little bit more in line with something like Remember Me than it does Life is Strange. But anyways, let's talk about Vampyr. Has anybody else in the room played any of it?
I haven't. I kind of forgot about this game. I remember when we saw it last year at E3. Maybe it was just the conditions we were watching it in.
Well, it was horrible conditions.
I was really not into what I was seeing, really.
Yeah.
But the closer we've gotten to this, the more I've kind of been hoping it's good. And I've kind of been waiting for that, like, green flag, all clear, go buy it kind of signal. And I feel like I haven't really gotten that yet. Well, so I'm interested in this conversation.
Do you test this footage before we go live?
It was working fine earlier.
This happened last week.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening.
remember my Detroit footage last week looked fine before we started streaming, and then as soon as we hit go.
I'm assuming it's
It might just be angry that we're streaming it.
well, yeah, and the fact that it's trying to encode it and play it back and stuff. We really should just probably capture it at a lower bit rate.
Anyways.
So Vampyr, you play as Adam Jensen. He didn't ask for this.
Oh my god.
At the beginning of the game,
I had a feeling this was going to come up.
He
does look...
He looks exactly like fucking Adam Jensen.
Yeah, I
No,
know.
he doesn't. Adam Jensen.
Throw on some
19th century
sunglasses.
Adam Jensen.
Cool.
Throw on some sunglasses and leave the coat the same, and it's Adam Jensen.
Well,
Anyway,
had a beard.
and robot arm.
he has a beard. Adam Jensen has a beard.
Not like a full beard. Like
Has
that.
anybody
Oh, okay.
He had like a goatee.
It's ridiculous.
has anybody figured out why this game is spelled with a Y?
Because that's like an old world
fashion.
version of.
Is that how Vampire was spelled back in the day?
In the old world? Sure, why not? There's actually a very famous 1920s silent film that was an adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula. Not Nosferatu, but there's another one called Vampire, Vampyr. That's on the Criterion Collection, actually. It's really cool.
So anyway,
but yeah.
Vampyr, you play as Dr. Jonathan Reed.
Yep.
Who at the very beginning of the game, like the first thing that happens is you are turned into a vampire.
You literally wake up in like a pile of corpses. And
Yeah.
like,
Well, there's
oh
a
my
quick
God.
cutscene beforehand of
Yeah.
of a vampire biting you, and that's kind of what's going on. You're the kind of similar to I guess like a Breath of the Wild, where your goal is defeat Ganon, and your goal is find out who made you a vampire.
Yeah.
So
I would say the similarities stop there, though.
Oh yeah, Dr. Jonathan Reed is the leading expert on blood transfusions.
Strangely
Whoa,
enough.
what a coincidence.
Yeah.
I mean, that puts him like in the perfect position to be a vampire because he always needs blood because he does transfuse. Oh my god, how did they come up with this?
Oh my god.
So
Hours of research and thinking about it.
No, that's great.
so anyway, so you're in this
1930.
you're in this town. It's 1918, I believe.
Yeah.
You're
in London.
Yep, you're in London.
During the wall.
Yeah.
Actually, he just returned from
yeah, the war
war.
just ended. He was a field medic in the war, and like he was returning from war when all this shit went down. So
He's
yeah,
English?
yes.
Okay.
This town he's in, or I guess London, horrible conditions.
Yeah, it's in the midst of a plague.
Yeah, plague going on, and then recently people have started mysteriously dying.
Drained of their blood.
Yes, it's very odd.
Spoiler alert. Jesus
not really.
Christ.
Set up.
So you meet a nice man named Dr.
Acula.
Yes.
Ah,
You don't
had
both
to.
just make
that
that
was
joke?
no.
I was going to say it
terrible.
earlier, but I thought it was too low hanging.
9 people have made that joke. Today so far.
Thank you, Swansea. So, Sanji.
So sadly, that is literally as far as I've made it. Is like you meet Swansea, and then when you finally kind of make your way to like your home base that you're going to kind of operate out of for the bulk of this game. You're at this hospital, and he's kind of the person who gives you your space to live in this hospital, and that's kind of as far as I've made.
Well,
it,
he gives you a job. He gives you a job at his hospital.
Yeah.
Because they need
because
help.
you're reputable. They know who you are.
Blood transfusions?
Doing a lot of things. I mean, you are an actual doctor, and so one of the first things that happens is you kind of go on rounds. You go around talking to the patients about their illnesses and stuff like that. I don't know how to play this game yet.
So
Here's the thing. I don't know how to play
There are
it
a lot
yet.
of weird quirks to this game.
Yeah.
And I'm still trying, like you, I'm still trying to kind of like wrap my head around like what is the flow of this game supposed to be, and I'm not entirely sure.
Well, Nick, for you, it hasn't.
I'm still deciding as to whether I'm even going to keep playing.
It hasn't started for you yet, Nick.
Okay.
If you just met him and just got to the hospital and stuff, like the
I
game
walked around and talked to like 2 people and then went to my
hasn't
office
really
and-
started yet.
Yeah.
So the like RPG-esque, they're not I don't know RPG,
this
but
is-
the gameplay mechanics are going
Well,
to
this is an
soon.
RPG, though.
I know,
You are-
they're going to soon start for you, where you'll start getting quests.
Yeah.
And you have to go and complete those quests. And so, for an example, I met the security, or he's like the guy who drives the ambulances for the hospital, and he was like, oh, I dropped my wallet and blah 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 and all this stuff, and he can help me out. And you go and you find some scales.
Scales.
They're like vampires who are like crazy. They're
but
like,
not you. You're not crazy.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
They're the ones that have kind of like lost their. They're like
Markovians?
They're like feral ghouls, I guess. You know,
Like from the other vampires?
Sure. So they're very crazy, and all they do is like attack. They don't like talk or anything like that. So you find some of them, and you have to fight them in combat because this game actually does have a fairly decent combat system. You have just like regular attacks, and then you have like a sub weapon that in a lot of cases can do different things. So you start with like a stake. I don't know that I made it a stake, but you use it to stun.
I thought it was like a. Oh, the stake. You're right.
Yeah, the stake. It's used to like stun enemies. Like you give them a quick like hit in the face with it, and if you stun them enough to drain their stun meter, you can actually bite them to suck their blood, which restores some of your health and restores your blood meter, which you use for special abilities. It's like mana. But then there are other weapons that I got. Like I just recently got one in another mission that's like a syringe, and instead of stunning them, it literally just drains blood out of them.
Yeah. Which I'm assuming you can then save?
Yeah, so it goes into your pool of blood immediately. Yeah. And so the reason, like I said, you use that pool of blood for things like you have like a spell that's to heal yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
You use that for special attacks. You can fucking make a blood spear and throw it at an enemy. It's pretty interesting. And then you have lots of different types of weapons. Like I have a sword weapon, and then you have guns as well. Yeah. I have like a pistol, and I have a sawed-off shotgun.
I'm still trying to get the hang of like using these things in conjunction with each other. Because it seems like a very strange thing for a vampire to like start off a fight by like shooting a dude and then going up and punching him and then biting him. It's like I feel like that's backwards. Or
so
I don't know.
You can also. I have this like scythe weapon, and it's like a two-handed weapon, and with two-handed weapons, you can actually parry in combat as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of mechanics to this game, and one of the ones you just saw me looking at in the menu was the people of this world. So the people in the town all have their own.
That's the part I wanted to get to the most, but I haven't had a chance to really.
And so that's kind of. Hold on, I'll get to that in a second. Those people, but one of the things is they all have like stories and paths and ideas and things that they want to do. And the more you talk with them, and the more you talk with other people in the town, you learn things about other people. And the kind of the reasoning behind that would be the more you know about a person, the more you kind of know about their physiology and stuff, and the more worth it is if you suck their blood.
Yeah, so when you boil it down to like its base mechanic, though, the more you know about the person, if you decide to bite them, the more experience you get from that bite.
Correct. If you don't know much about them and you just bite them, you'll get like maybe 500 experience. But if you learn all the clues about them, you might get like 3,000.
So here's what I'm having trouble with, because and so before I played this, I did read some reviews and I heard some people talking about it a little bit. So I was kind of worried about how this is ultimately going to play out, because everyone seems to kind of talk about the difficulty is not very difficult. So like you don't really ever have the incentive to like bite people, but you kind of feel like you should because it's a game about being a vampire. So you should. But also, the more people you bite, it might have a negative impact on like the ending you get. So I'm kind of like torn between, me as a role player, like as I'm playing this game, like I don't usually play as like villainous characters. I usually try and the first person they give you the option of biting or letting free, I let free because of course that's what I almost always would do.
Sure.
In this scenario, but like I feel like if I continue down that path, one, I'm not going to unlock some of the cooler abilities in the game, and two, I'm just not going to like get the most out of the experience because I'm not playing to the role of vampire the way you probably should.
So from what I've been told, there are two ways. I mean, I don't want to say two ways. There's many ways you can play it, but if you look at the extremes, you can not kill anybody. Therefore, you earn less experience. I say don't kill anybody. I'm talking about the named townspeople.
Yeah. I mean, you'll fight plenty of like
you run into
creatures.
just like thugs, not even creatures, like thugs, just like dudes.
Yeah.
That you can kill, and that does not affect the area of the game you are in or the people's opinions of you or anything. Those are just like random like mafia members, and you literally run into like mafia guys.
Yeah.
And if you kill them, it's like whatever. Where that comes into play is these named people, the people you talk to, the people you can learn about their histories and their past and their
the
blood.
People who
and
actually
stuff like
have names and histories.
Correct. So if you don't kill any of them, yes, you end the game. Towards the end of the game, you have a lot less experience, which means experience is what you need for boosting your health, your stamina, learning new special abilities,
cool things like blood spears.
Exactly. You need experience for that. So if you don't have that, you have to change your combat style to focus more on those weapons. Like I said, there is a lot of different types of weapons in this game. So you can focus instead of... if you're not killing those people, you're probably talking to them a lot, which means you're getting quests from them. And if you get those quests from them, you might unlock new like crafting items. You'll find items in the world that you can either break down for crafting materials or sell for money. Then you can go to merchants that are in the world and you can buy resources from them, like just physical crafting materials or weapons, and then you can increase those. So you'll probably... From this is what I've been told, because I've only played a little bit, but to me it seems like you either A, bite everybody,
or don't bite anybody.
But the thing is, if you don't bite anybody and you go with that, I want to like learn about them, it seems like then you're almost like getting to the point where you know all of them and they're even worth more experience. So I just don't know.
I'm hoping there's at least like different. There's enough differences between these people that some of them come across as like genuinely good people and some come across as like assholes.
I've already met
because
several
if there
assholes.
are some assholes,
there probably
I think
is.
I'm just gonna.
You're gonna eat those assholes, Nick.
I was like, I stopped myself.
Not a porn
Oh
site.
my god.
But I will
I'm just
say,
gonna stop talking.
what Nick had kind of for those who aren't watching us live, when I mentioned talking to people, Nick made a face. There is a shit ton of dialogue in this game.
Oh my
It
God.
is a ridiculous. Like me being just in this hospital, like last night, probably at least 2/3, half to 2/3 of my stream was me talking to people. It is a lot of fucking
like,
dialogue.
if you try, like I was trying to play this game last night when I was tired, and I was like, "This is not working. I'm going to bed."
You know, there's a skip dialogue button, right? I started doing it a bit. So here, and actually, I had a conversation with chat last night about it, and it's kind of I'm getting the same feeling I got. Some of my complaints about Persona 5 is I feel like there are lots of times when dialogue is stretched out for no reason. It's like they'll say something in like 30 sentences they could have said in like 4, and it honestly would have gotten the same effect.
And everything is very enunciated and kind of drawn out.
Yeah, like it's like they're you know, they're acting. The people who are voicing these, they
And
like
like
actually
this is
have,
the first game I feel like in a while that I've played where the voice acting is noticeably like kind of monotonous. Like I've played a lot of games recently that have like really excellent voice acting. So to suddenly jump into this is kind of
I would say the
shocking.
voice acting in this game is bad.
I know I wouldn't say it's bad. I would just say it's kind
pretty
of dull.
good. I mean, it's
not bad. It's
hold
just
on.
like
this. Here's one thing, Nick. So that's going to come down to hold on, not just the script, but the people. You're in a voice booth, and then they're given a script, and they say read that, and someone behind the you know the scene with the presses record is like, yeah, you're good. When they should have been like, can you give me more emotion in this? Like they were directed poorly. Because while there are certain people I've met that actually do have fairly good, their performance is good. There are other ones that it does seem like they're kind of just reading off a page
and not like actually standing in front of each other having a conversation.
Correct. And so like I will like just kind of thinking of some of that stuff I was talking about. I met a woman in the hospital who's clearly a crazy woman. She's like kind of shaking and talking to herself.
Is she the one who was like, I'm a vampire?
Yeah, you walk up to her, she's like, I'm a vampire, you know, and blah blah blah. And it's like 5 minutes of conversation. She's like, yeah, the vampire hunters are after me, blah blah blah. Like those 2 sentences I just said were literally all the information you needed to get from her. If you'd walked up to a woman and she was like, I'm a vampire, the vampire hunters are after me, you would obviously know she's a crazy woman. And she's like acting like that. You don't need like the 10 minutes you get of dialogue from her of like kind of like just like it's not, I don't know. And it's like I guess if the lines of dialogue were delivered better, if look at this, it's like a stale single like
this scene hasn't changed for like 5
yes,
minutes.
Yeah.
there's a lot of this. It is
reverse shot for.
but there's no reverse shots, Crispy.
Like it hovers over your shoulder the entire time.
So hold on. In a cutscene, a game-related cutscene, you have no control over the camera. It just does it at once. Every once in a while, it will pan. In a conversation, just any generic conversation, if you just walk up to someone and talk to them, that's the crazy woman. You have complete control of the camera, so you can move it back and forth. But still, that's all you can do and I don't even know if I do it in the scene, but you can literally just kind of slide the camera side to side, and that's really it. But
even Mass Effect has it where at least when someone was talking, it would switch back to focus on their face.
It would focus on
at the
whoever
very
is
least.
talking. Correct. This game doesn't do that. And I mean, I think it's just that's all they had time to do. I mean, this development is a smaller studio. I mean, they don't exactly have unlimited budget, and so I mean, I think. It's one of those scenarios where they reached so far, they tried to go so far and do so much that some of the other things suffered because of it.
I think some of what we're talking here might be I think a lot of game studios, especially smaller ones that don't have as many people or as many resources, could gain a lot from studying film a little more.
Sure.
Seeing how they do scenes, how they place their cameras and things like that.
How they light a scene.
How they light a scene.
Yeah. Also, how they write their dialogue to
camera
convey...
placement like this, if you're going to have like a 5-minute conversation with a character and you're just going to have this angle, which is not a good shot, and you're not even going to cut away from it, I mean, that is just encouraging me to tune out completely.
Yeah, it's also unfortunate, like in this day and age where streaming is so big, like it's kind of unfortunately probably kind of dull for people watching people stream the game too.
Kind of.
And also, like talking about studying film and everything, I feel like this game could have benefited greatly from that, because it might have influenced the writing the dialogue in such a way that it conveys the information it needs to convey in a smaller amount of
that's
words,
and that's what I'm talking about, Nick. Like, if you're gonna have a scenario like Crispy said, it's poorly, the camera's poorly positioned, the animations aren't that great. Like, don't make me sit there for 5 minutes.
I'm just saying too, and like Zero Skies said something in chat, which is absolutely true. Let's not fall into the trap of thinking that all film do shots well, which is true. But here's the thing: when you're working on a film, when you're working in cinema, that's all you have is camera placement, characters, shot, reverse shot, editing. That's it. That is what film is. Games have so much more going on that they have to think about, that kind of stuff is like the first thing that's going to fall off.
Correct.
Is the first thing that they're going to overlook, and they shouldn't, because especially in a big kind of lengthy RPG like this, those skill sets are going to get you through a lot of your player engagement sections.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, if the shots during dialogue were better and less monotonous and I'm sorry, but boring, I would feel a lot better about the prospect of continuing to play this game, despite the fact that it might be, a little jank.
This is me manipulating the camera.
Yeah.
And that last one, I didn't move it at all.
It's already more dynamic than any of the...
Yeah. But so what I wanted to say is, unfortunately, this footage is just... It happened to be a part of the game where my only quest available was literally go talk to all these people. That was this quest. If you had caught my stream last night, one of the last quests I did actually was more involved. I talked to the doctor. He's like, hey, we need to heal these people. We need materials and supplies to do it. There are some in the morgue. Here's a key to the morgue. Go get them. So you go into the morgue, and the morgue has a bunch of the skulls in it. And so it's a section of exploring this area, finding every once in a while some notes with information about people, finding those resources, finding other just random resources. It kind of focuses more on combat, where you have the ability to kind of sneak. If you sneak upon an enemy and catch them off guard, you can do an instant stun on them and do the bite to suck out their blood and obviously reduce some of their health. And so that sequence was a little more involved and a little more action-packed and fun. And actually, before that scene had started, I was kind of, I don't want to say falling asleep, but I was kind of drifting off a bit. I was like, and then that sequence started and actually kind of getting into it a little more. Okay, so I'm exploring this world, I'm finding this.
Once you find your purpose, it sounds like it becomes more interesting.
Yeah.
I don't even think I've gotten to the point where I feel like I have much of a purpose or goal in the game, and I'm sure that's going to change. I'm going to give this a few more solid hours before I decide whether or not I'm going to finish it.
You see me, I would say, a bit in this footage doing this, like, you have this vampire vision, which is actually really cool. You can see like the blood of people, and you can
see like their arteries and stuff.
Yeah,
and
their heartbeats and the blood pumping through their veins. You use that in many different scenarios. Following scents of blood, if you're following a trail, you use that to get. I don't know if you use it. I think there's like one more way, I can't remember. But one thing I wanted to mention, because now I'm thinking about it, it's kind of frustrating because if you learn information about someone, you can kind of unlock that. Like there's locked potential in their blood, and you have to find that information and then ask them a certain question, and it unlocks that path, which lets you get more experience. But every time he does that, like the game makes this like shring sound, and like the camera goes wobbly, and he's like, "Tell me what I need to know." Like he gets this like weird fucking thing. Like it's like if you were to be asking them like oh, where did you two meet? He'd be like, where did you two meet? Like every single time. And it gets a little like frustrating. I know it's supposed to be like him like almost mentally forcing them to answer the question, because that's, obviously
He's
one of the
supposed
things.
to be using the mesmerize.
Exactly. The vampires have that kind of mesmerize ability, and that's actually something you can do in this game. I only did it once when it forced you to, but to eat anybody, you don't just do it in the middle of the hallway. You have to mesmerize them and then take them somewhere that's secluded, and then you have the option to feed on them or whatnot. But it's really weird that like every single time you do it, he does that. The game makes a sound, the camera like shakes, it zooms in a bit, and like then he like says it in that tone.
That's weird. You so rarely see that very common vampire trope executed as like a threatening interrogation.
Yeah.
It's usually like they're charming and very, like they glamour you,
coaxing it out of you.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, one thing I do like about it is that it's kind of exploring, aspects of the like vampire lore that I don't think is explored very much, or at least it's interpreted in really interesting ways that I like. Like, there's one part where a guy like holds up a cross, right? And like in this game, like he holds up the cross, and
it's a cool
from
effect.
his perspective, it looks like sunlight just shooting out of the cross, and he's like, like
it's kind of like waves are coming out of it, and your character's like shaking and stuff like that. It's a really cool effect.
Yeah, and like they also like, this is unusual too. Like if they go out in the sun, they like burn and char to a crisp, right? But it doesn't kill them. Like it says like,
well, yeah, it's not like Buffy or something where they instantly. It's more like
you find an article or like a diary about like, I tied a vampire to a tree and left him there all day, and he like burnt to a crisp, and then like it took him days to heal back from that. But like, so that's, you don't really see that very. Usually, sunlight's just considered something that just immediately kills them. So
it depends on the lore.
Everyone does vampires different.
Yeah, and I think this is pretty cool to see.
Do you not remember in Blade when he just put some sunscreen on?
Oh my god, I cannot believe they did that.
Yeah, they did.
He's good to go.
That was a lot of sunscreen.
Okay, question.
Yeah, what's up?
About blood in this game. You're a vampire. Do you actually need to feed?
As far as
the
I
game
can tell,
force you to eat.
So as of this point, no. To an extent.
I'm afraid what it's going to be is that it's the only way to heal yourself. But if you get good enough at the combat and you don't take damage, then I have a feeling you can probably play this game without drinking at all.
Well, so here's
That's
the thing.
my fear.
You can get through this without drinking any of the people who matter. Because like I was saying earlier, you fight many people in combat, the goons, and the thing is, since you do get your health reduced when they hit you, you can easily just stun them, suck some of their blood,
but if you
restore your health.
If you're like a Dark Souls like expert who like never takes damage at all,
correct.
Is it also the only source of XP?
No. So talking with people gets you experience. Yeah, like the more you find out about them, you unlock unlocking skills does
you just
give you some
unlock
experience.
that stuff at a much faster rate if you are biting people.
That's interesting.
So that's the thing, Nick, is you could, and that's my thing with, I could go through this entire game and not eat anybody, but unlock all of the knowledge about them and get the experience, and then eat them. And I get all the experience I get from unlocking that information and the extra experience I get because now their blood is worth more. You know what I'm saying? So it almost seems like if you do everything, you then still want to eat them because then you even get more experience.
I'm tempted to like kind of switch up and play the game more of like, I'm going to kind of eat most of the people and just hope that maybe the writing's good enough that in the end, the quote unquote bad ending doesn't like really make me just feel like shit.
I hear it's supposed to
make you feel like shit.
Yeah,
but like, is it like in a satisfying narrative way, or like is it just like, oh, I feel like I got screwed out of like an actual satisfying ending? Like it can make you feel like shit and still be a satisfying ending to the story.
So yeah,
or it can just make you feel like shit.
The reason I kind of question that is because of, at least as far as I am in the game, Jonathan Reed is not a bad person. Like one of the things when he's talking about with Swansea, he's like Swansea mentions like, oh, to be a vampire, blah blah blah, and like my option, like I had a couple options. One of them is like, what are you talking about? This is a fucking curse. Like he's like, I don't want to be this. And one of the things is he's doing is literally, and as far as it's not 100%, but I think he's trying to find a cure. He doesn't want to be a vampire.
This is definitely a interpretation of vampire lore where like becoming a vampire, you don't like lose your soul, you don't become less human, you just are cursed with this like need to drink blood.
Yeah,
you're still maintaining your humanity, and I think that's a pretty interesting take on it. So
And like I said, like he's a doctor. Like there are multiple times when he's interacting with people, and he's like are you like one of the like doctors or nurses in the hospital was like, fuck them, whatever. And he's like, are you kidding me? It's a sick person. We're supposed to help them. We're a doctor. I'm here to heal them. Yeah. And it's one of those things where like he still very much has his humanity. I don't know. What's up?
Zero Sky says, look, you're basically White Blade.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Last thing I do want to say before we move on, because one of the things I was kind of really expecting to kind of drive my interest in playing this game was I love the setting. Like I love this whole like Gothic London, like Whitechapel thing, and I was like really expecting that like if the world does a really good job of evoking that atmosphere and like it looks beautiful, like I might be able to push through any kind of like mechanical downsides that the game has. But like the game hasn't impressed me yet visually speaking either. And I know that that's kind of shallow of me here, but like I was really expecting this set piece to
I think what you're seeing is what you're going to get for the whole game.
Yeah, well, I don't know. So the thing is, so far, I've only been in... This is a very small portion of the game.
Yeah, the world looks big.
The world's actually pretty big, and I think once you start like going to different sections and stuff, there might be something more.
Have you done a lot of like what we saw in that demo at E3 last year?
Not much, because I just haven't... I think the main reason was because in the first bit of my cast yesterday, I was literally just going around and talking to everybody. Yeah. I wasn't really progressing the story. Yeah. I've really only done 2 story missions. I'm not very far in the game story, and I haven't even explored the town. I haven't even left this area. So one of the things we saw at E3 was they were interacting with a guy, and like his mother had died or something like that, and it was all about like a quest to find out stuff like that. And like I just haven't gotten there yet, and I do want to keep playing.
I hope that
what I might start doing is skipping dialogue a little more with characters I don't care about. There are definitely some characters I actually do care about, and I want to interact with them, but there are other ones where it's like, hey, go talk to this person. And I'm like, I don't fucking care about that guy. Yeah. I might just skip their dialogue. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna keep going a little bit and see if it eventually like really grabs me, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I won't get much time to play it over the next week because you know,
if it doesn't, let me borrow it.
That's why I'm holding off.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so I have another game I would like to talk about briefly. This is a game we actually talked about quite a bit back in what year was this? 2016? I haven't played this until just now.
Yeah, 2016, I think.
This has been on my backlog for a while. I loved the first game, so I'm kind of shocked that I never jumped straight into this. But Watch Dogs 2, I started this on the feed the other night, and I'm finally like 5 or 6 hours into it.
What are you thinking so far, Nick? I caught a little bit of your stream the other day.
It's pretty wild. The thing is, so like one thing obviously that it's very obvious right from the get-go is like the tone they try and strike with this game.
It is
dramatically different.
Well, I think one of the reasons is that was one of the biggest things that was shit on about the first game.
Yeah.
Was that
it took itself a little too seriously.
Aiden
Pierce.
Aiden Pierce was a kind of boring piece of shit.
Yeah.
No one, you don't like. Okay, yes, his backstory was heartbreaking or whatever, but he had no personality.
Yeah, it wasn't a very memorable.
Too much
protagonist.
edge.
Yeah. It was very monotone.
Yeah.
There we go. I like the way Crispy put it. Too much edge, not enough substance. Like, but like the core mechanic of that game, I really, really enjoyed. Like,
oh sure, yeah.
Despite the fact that it is completely ridiculous, like how they portray like the hacking and stuff in this game, and how you can like hack everything. And
but isn't it so much fun?
Pretty
Nick?
much, it is fun though.
Compared you're willing to like flex with it a little bit because it's like trying to have more fun. You know?
I remember this mission.
Oh, I know. I picked a hell of a mission to do this.
Mission? Yeah.
I had a lot of fun with this mission.
The fun thing about this game is it makes it so much easier. Yes, you have this little cart that you can roll around, and you have the drone you can fly, and all that stuff. And that's it. It's easy. You just point at something and you hack it, and you're done. And you're good to go, and you can do other things. And
there's no mini game you have to do.
Yeah, it's simple, and it's
also like just. Mm-hmm. Like I said, it takes itself less seriously.
Oh yeah,
I mean, I tend to I like stories and games and whatnot, and I think this game, because it takes itself less seriously, I'm actually really enjoying. Like once I've kind of accepted that they're not trying to tell a super serious story, I'm actually really enjoying the story as a byproduct of it. The characters are kind of fun and likable for the most part, and they have their own quirky personalities, which is cool.
All of the even like the DedSec, right?
Yeah, DedSec.
All of the people you're with in that are like kind of goofy, and they all have you have that one guy who's almost like a not like Dead Mouse, but he's like
Yeah.
no from
You never see his face.
Yeah, and I thought that was like really when I first
still
from
remember his
Borderlands. Who's the ninja guy?
oh man,
Zero.
Zero, like with his face, like the emoticons, emojis on his face. That's like that. He has like that kind of like.
To be fair, also I played this game like a week apart because I was doing it primarily on my stream. So I've played about 6 hours of it total, and I haven't really gotten to the point yet where I'm really remembering people's names. I'm sure that'll change. I'm gonna start
it's
playing
been a
it off
while
the
since
feed
I
a lot.
played it too. So.
But like I do like the characters. I do like the story, and for whatever reason, at first the world, like the idea, like I've been to San Francisco. I love San Francisco. I think it's a cool place. But like for whatever reason, when I like exploring it as like an open world at first didn't seem very interesting to me. But like now that I've played more of it and I've kind of dug into it, I'm actually really enjoying it. And like just like the skill trees they give you access to, that seems like there's a lot of fun stuff. The parkour in there, or the free running, is actually really cool. Like
You were flipping your shit.
dude, he does
Well, he
so
was
much
literally
cool
flipping.
shit. Like when you run up to a ledge and he like jumps on the ledge and does like a fucking like backflip, and this fucking yo-yo or whatever the fuck he uses.
It's an 8-ball.
It's an 8-ball, yeah.
yeah, fuck it. It's a yo-yo. I don't give a shit. It is so.
It's very
cool.
satisfying. When
It
you
is so
poke someone in the
satisfying.
face
Violent
with
as
it.
shit.
Especially when I just take down people that just happen to be in the wrong place. At the
Although
wrong
that
time.
taser's really good.
But
The
like,
taser's good.
and one thing I've been
Bushes are OP, Nick.
like one thing I
Always
did a
are.
lot. Like I feel like the first Watch Dogs had some really cool ideas, but like there wasn't a whole lot of ideas. Like there were several like really cool ideas that you just kind of did once you kind of learned how to do them. You did those a lot and just in different order. There's so many different paths and options and things you can tool around with, like. You know, taking the drone up or going in with the little rolly car thing, and then hacking cameras, distracting guards with their cell phones.
Well, I think this game does a better job of almost in certain areas
Look at this
stopping
shit.
you.
Look at this shit. I drove this thing over here. I did this mission like 5 times. I drove. By the way, I glitched the fuck out right there. But I drove this. What do they call these things? The
scissor lift?
Scissor lifts. Yeah. I drove
Or
there on
cherry
the edge.
picker.
And once I got the access key, I drove to the side of the building and just raised myself up. And by the way, I think I fall out of this thing once or twice, which is really annoying. But
This
like
is the strategy I did.
But like
I did the same thing.
But it's so cool because like you didn't have to.
I love just like raising
It was the
those
most
up
effective
and
way.
driving them around and running people
Oh,
over.
wait till you see my getaway.
You get away in that thing? That's amazing.
I did too. When I did this mission, that's what I did. But like, that's one of the things I wanted to say is I think this game does a very good job of, even though you have your drone, there are definitely times when like the drone's almost useless. Like you can't use it in every scenario. And the same thing with the RC car. Like I think it does a very good job of locking you in certain paths sometimes because it's nothing is like completely OP. Like there are definitely like sometimes
Everything
like
has a time.
But everything's
Exactly.
also fun, so like it's cool to experiment.
yeah.
For the most part. I mean, I haven't done everything. Obviously, I'm still pretty early, but like I'm having a lot of fun just kind of like the way you feel about like a good level in like Metal Gear, where it's like, well, I'm gonna fuck this up a few times, but like I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna find like a really cool way to experiment and get it. My favorite thing to do in the world in Watch Dogs 1, one of the reasons why I love that game so much was I thought like causing the blackouts in the city was like one of the coolest effects. Whether you're doing it while you're driving in a car chase or like you're about to take on a bunch of dudes like in an alley, and then you just like cause a blackout and they can't see shit, and then you just go in there and start whooping ass. Like that's so great. I love that shit, and you can do that and like so much more in this game. So I'm really, really looking forward to playing more of it. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the online features too. I got invaded a couple times and I had no idea.
So that's what I wanted. I wanted to bring that up. Compared to the first one, they greatly increase the chances of being someone coming into your game, and it's the fact that it literally can happen anytime. It can happen while you're in the middle of a mission. Someone can invade you.
I got fucking run over by a dude riding on the hood of a car.
It also feels a lot harder if you're the invader, though.
No,
because of the flying drone.
Because they have the drone and the RC, it is much harder to avoid them in this. But I had so much fun fucking invading other people's games.
And once I get a better feel for the overall like the mechanics and stuff, I'm definitely gonna experiment around with that because I did enjoy what little I did in the first game. One thing I wanted to mention here too, and this is just something I've noticed with the few story missions I've done so far. So I got in the scissor lift. I was like, "Fuck it, I'm not even lowering it. Here I go." And I started driving away in this thing. I was really hoping to start like a high-speed car chase, being elevated in this thing, but it didn't really happen.
Very subtle.
Yeah, but I thought that was pretty funny. Like that kind of shit's so silly and cool. And
I'm fairly certain in one of the times I invaded someone's game, I was in the scissor lift hacking them, and they couldn't find me like at the top of a fucking scissor lift.
Oh, I've absolutely done that.
That's fantastic. But like, what I was gonna say was one thing I've kind of the few missions I've done so far I've kind of enjoyed is like one of the conceits is like it's not usually about getting into a place and like killing everybody. Sometimes it's like causing a big enough distraction, and like you gotta like hack into like a computer or whatever, and it takes time for the bar to fill up, and it's really just about like set yourself up in a position where you can do that without being seen, or just long enough, like in that scenario, I knocked a dude out on the ground floor, ran out the front door, everyone was alerted and ran, like all the guards from the second floor ran down to the first floor. I went on the scissor lift outside, went up to the second floor, hacked the computer while everyone was downstairs looking for me.
Yeah.
And like, that shit's really cool. Or you could just walk in the front door and start shooting people or stunning people, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many options.
And the mission variety in here is so much better than the first game.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And it's so much lighter tone.
People on the feed were flipping out because I did the mission where you steal the car, which is basically the DeLorean.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's Kit.
It's
from
more like
Knight
yeah,
Rider.
okay, I guess you're right.
It's like Knight Rider.
Yeah, and that mission was so much fun, but oh my god, I butchered the shit out of the car chase.
Fucking
Oh
destroyed it.
my god!
I was watching you.
I ended up on the freeway, and I couldn't find an exit, and there was like 16 cops chasing me, and there was nothing on the freeway. There's nothing to hack. You can't like raise the bars or like. There's no stoplights where you can like cause accidents and shit, which is like my favorite thing to do in the game too.
Yeah.
I couldn't do any of that. So, that kind of sucked. But the mission was funny, and it was like a lot of the writing is like,
Oh, you haven't gotten to
silly.
the
It's-
payoff of that, though.
Hold on, but so you haven't done like the fucking
probably
like
not.
the Burning Man mission
No,
yet?
not yet.
Like, oh god, that one.
There's
That
some cool.
was-
There's some
That
cool
was
stuff
kind
in
of
this
out of
game.
nowhere, man.
Yeah, it was.
I'm really sad I didn't play this game back in 2016 when it came
Yeah,
out.
it's a good game.
But did you finish it, Nolan? Or?
I did not. It was one of those scenarios where I played a shit ton of it, but then other games came out, and so I.
This is right now.
I finished it.
I'm going back and forth between this and Vampyr right now. I have a feeling I'm going to end up getting hooked into this. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, I just wanted to bring it up because I've been having a lot of fun with it, and I'm definitely going to keep going with it. You'll probably see a lot of it on the feed when I stream on Monday nights. Yeah, by the way, I think we'll probably need to take a break here in a second.
Yeah.
One thing I'm still getting used to this. Still forgot to mention at the beginning of the show is 4Player Plus. We've recorded 2 episodes of it so far, and I wanted to pimp those because I'm really enjoying doing them. So 2 weeks ago, Crispy and I did an episode on Monday night before my stream. We talked about Solo, a Star Wars story. We spoiled that, reviewed it kind of. It was pretty fun. It's a good episode. You can find it on 4playernetwork.com now and on all of our podcast feeds. And this week, Nolan and Ed joined me, and we talked about Shadows Die Twice. There's a bunch of rumors about that. We talked about E3 hype, and then Ed brought Masters of Anima, which is a game he's played a little bit on the feed, but he did a little indie spotlight, and we talked about that on the episode. So we're trying to do those Monday nights.
basically Little King's Pikmin.
Yeah, exactly. So we're trying to do episodes of that, our bonus podcast, on Monday nights. I'm hosting them for like that. From 8 to 9 or before my stream normally, and it'll just be kind of a variety show, variety of different topics, whether it's news or spoiler casts or whatever. It's going to change from week to week, and we'll have different guests on every week. So I hope you guys enjoy them. You can find the first 2 episodes on the site, and of course, if you're a supporter on Patreon, you can tune in while we record them live, and we have the chat window or the Discord chat on screen, and you can comment and ask us questions and stuff, and we'll react to those as we're recording them. So that's just a little pimpage of that. Check it out. You can find them on the site now. But now we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, do we have any other game? We're talking a little bit about Detroit, I guess. And then we'll.
I want to briefly mention a couple.
And
things,
then so we have a few more little things to mention, and then we'll do news because of course we're getting into E3, and there's already news leaking left and right. So if you're watching us live, don't go anywhere. We'll be back after this short break. Welcome back from the break. We have a couple more games to talk about before we jump into news. Where do we want to start? I guess because it's still kind of fresh, let's talk about Detroit a little bit first. I know Nolan and Crispy both finished Detroit
with very different endings.
Yeah, no, I was talking to Crispy briefly before we got here, and he told me what happened in his ending, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
Let's not get into.
I know we're not going to go into spoilers. I was just like, it's amazing to kind of see how different it can turn out.
I also, when I got the terrible fucking ending that I got, went back like 4 chapters and played that whole section, like the whole end of the game again, and got something completely different, which is cool. I guess.
For me, it was always interesting that whenever I completed a chapter, I always like to pull up the timeline, not timeline. What was it called? The
flowchart?
The flowchart, and just kind of look at all the things and be like,
That's
a huge tree I didn't go down.
That's
like,
one thing I said
shit,
last week is I thought it was really. I actually really liked the flowchart because it really did really did show the player how much their choices do matter. Because everyone always asks the question of, do my choices really matter in this game? And it shows you how different your story can potentially be, just dependent on your choices.
Isn't it kind of weird how your choices matter because there's all these different choices that can affect the story, but when you can see all of it, it kind of feels like none of it matters.
Yeah, I mean,
I was getting that by the end where I was like, man, this, like, it doesn't really matter what I like. I don't know.
I would say, like, one of the other games, I mean, obviously Heavy Rain is another game where, yeah, choices matter, I guess. But I still didn't feel like it in that. But, like, comparing this to, like, something like Telltale, and everyone always talks about the choices in Telltale. In my opinion with Telltale is, it's not, like, the choices affect when things happen, not if they happen.
Yeah.
Like, Telltale games, literally, from beginning to end, whoever's going to die, dies, whoever's going to live, lives, with, like, the occasional maybe side character who literally doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, I literally felt like everything I did had consequences. I felt like, oh, shit. Like, if I mess up this QuickTime event, is this character going to die?
Yeah.
Like, I really felt that way.
And when you do see the direction that the stories go and you hear other people talk about their stories, it is definitely pretty clear that your story can turn out dramatically different, whether that's to the detriment of it or for the betterment of it. Like, they're drastically different endings or events can happen in any given person's given story.
So with the guide in there, I mean, I'm going to be honest here. If I play this game and I beat it, I'm not going to go restart an entire scene or restart the entire game to get.
Typically, you're not
see
supposed.
what happens.
This is not a game where I would say I would recommend. The thing is, like, the reason I think Crispy did it is because he recognized the moment he feels like he got cheated out of a better ending or something, right?
Well, no. What I'm asking is, with this guide, can I just pull, or the
flowchart? The flowchart doesn't tell you what the pieces you're missing are. It just shows you there are pieces that you missed.
When you finish the game, though, a lot of the big junction points become checkpoints that you can reload.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I was like, can I press a button and see what happens if I make this decision?
No.
I mean,
not quite.
No. Yeah, okay. Not in the moment, but
like,
you can
the stuff
reload.
You haven't experienced is locked. Is like grayed out. It's not in there at all. But you can kind of infer how things go just by seeing what items on that flowchart are actually choices. Like, there will be things on that flowchart where you're like, I didn't even consider that could have gone differently, you know? And some of it's real small stuff, too. But they don't tell you. You don't really have a way of guessing. I mean, you don't really have a way of confirming exactly how things would be different.
Correct.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed the game. Am I going to go back and replay it? No time soon.
I don't think this is a game you should ever go back and replay.
Why
really?
not? What, in 5 years?
Maybe in 5 years. I mean, it's definitely not something you should play in the like. It's definitely the kind of game if you're going to replay it. There should be a long period of time between the first and the second playthrough.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I might replay it in kind of some of the characters. I took them. Like, I will say that, you know, I'm sure people know, like, Marcus, what little they know about him. We've seen a lot in promotion material. You know, like rooting for, you know, androids. You know, we're people too or whatever. And I took a peaceful approach. Yeah. But I'm like, what if I would have gone opposite? Like, what if I would have been like a fucking asshole? And
what if I just burned it down?
And the problem is, because of what we talked about earlier in the show, because they don't really have a way of kind of showing you a dichotomy of choices or of approaches that you could take to this. Like, most people, I feel like, are going to take the passive approach because
probably
they never put you in the shoes of a human character and present things to you in such a way that it might make you question whether or not they should be considered human or living people. I feel like if they had done that more often, it would have made some of these decisions
they're
way
definitely
more,
not humans or living people.
No, I mean androids.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, if they had done that, if they had shown a dichotomy between, or shown you both sides of the argument by letting you play as two different people, seeing it from both sides and seeing why each one feels the way it feels, I feel like some of these decisions would have been way more impactful.
Sure.
It would have made it much harder to steer these stories in the way you want them to. Because if they did a really good job of like showing you both sides of the coin, it would have been like, oh god, I would have had to stop and like think about these things before I make any of these decisions. But instead, I just kind of made them on the fly because I kind of knew generally how I felt about it, which was, yeah, of course, the way they're presented, these people should be treated with more respect, kind of. So.
I'll also note that I did like the little mechanics in this. I liked that Connor was a detective, and you go in this detective mode, and you recreate, the scene of the crime, and kind of stuff like that. And Marcus's little like parkour stuff was, I don't remember. Did Kara do anything?
Wait, parkour sequences?
Yeah, as Marcus.
Oh, those are pretty few. I mean, I was gonna say
you do like 5 or 6 times.
Are you talking about Connor or Marcus?
Marcus.
I always thought
I feel like that's more of a Connor thing.
Yeah, because Connor always does the sequences where he's like chasing.
Connor's
people.
doing shit like this.
No,
like chasing the suspect.
No, but that's Marcus has to do it like multiple times.
Oh, you're talking about like the points where he has to like
predicting the path, his route.
Oh,
of doing like parkour and shit.
I guess that only happened with Marcus.
I guess.
Yeah, it did. That's what I'm saying. Marcus said that.
I guess
Connor
that was his kind of unique thing.
I'm saying, what did Connor have?
No,
something?
Connor does have one.
He has like, but he doesn't predict his route. He doesn't say like, if I go this way, this will fail. So let me backtrack and now see what happens if I go this way.
Right, but he does have that exact same thing. That like mechanically and philosophically, he has that exact same thing going on. It's just not about him like climbing something.
Sure.
I think there's one chapter at the end in particular.
I just don't think that was necessarily. It doesn't. It really doesn't matter.
I really don't know where this.
I do agree that particular mechanic was.
But
probably.
I think what we're getting at is that like this whole investigative thing is really the only thing that I think is unique to one of the characters.
Correct. That's what I was trying to say. Like I'm
nobody else has like
they don't have anything like super special about them. But even though that's the case, I still enjoy these sequences.
Yeah. I think they all had kind of like their. This is not mechanically speaking, but they all had something unique about the way you interact with that character. Like I think Kara's thing was specifically caring for Alice, the young girl. Like that's not mechanically speaking, that's not significant, but it does lead to a lot of interesting scenarios that are unique to Kara, which I think are cool. And then on Connor's end, he's a detective, so you end up in a lot of situations where you're doing stuff like this. You're trying to piece together these crime scenes. But you're right. The thing with Marcus and him having to kind of like make split-second decisions and having to analyze the different paths you can take until you find the right one, and then watching him execute them like really quickly, that was super cool. I wish they did that more often.
Yeah, I agree.
I also really enjoyed, and this might be, some people may have hated this, I don't know, but I really liked when the situation came down to like you're in like fights and you have to like react like spur of the moment and like dodge things and hit them and stuff. And I think those were really well choreographed and like really exciting sequences to be in. There's like 2 or 3 in particular I can think of. I think most of them were with Connor that I think were really fucking cool to watch. And a lot of it turns out because it turns out it was really stressful, but at the time I managed to pull them off without dying, and I think that was what made them. But I can imagine if you would fuck those up and died, like that would have sucked.
I will say it's kind of what you were mentioning, that like they flow really well. Sequences like this, like I'll say, this game's fucking beautiful.
Yeah,
dude, like this whole sequence where you're like doing this interactions with the environments and stuff.
And specifically, if you're listening to this, we're talking about the scene where Connor is chasing someone through. He's chasing a deviant through a field. And then like across railroad tracks and like through.
But I'm just saying in general, not even this particular scene, but I'm saying the entire game. Like multiple times, I caught myself just staring at the screen and being like, "Oh wait, I'm in control now. I didn't realize this isn't a cutscene."
Yeah. Like when we first played the demo that one time before the podcast, remember I was like, "You're like, Nick, you can move now." I was like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah.
I was just watching Connor like flick the coin back and forth between his hands, and then the camera kind of panned around. And I was like, "Oh wait, this is not a cutscene. I can move now."
Yeah, but I just think this game it's very technically impressive.
Yeah, it definitely impressed me. I was not really expecting this game to impress me on a visual level, but I think it totally did.
Yeah,
totally did. I kind of wish this game could have been what it is without, basically earning all of this. I don't know what the word I'm trying to look. It's a controversial game, and rightfully so. But like, I kind of wish. I think a lot of the things it does well are overshadowed by that stuff, and I think that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But I think it's a fun experience. In my opinion, personally, it's my favorite David Cage game. or Quantic Dream. I don't want to say David Cage. Quantic Dream game.
Sure.
I don't think I like any David Cage game. If you're
You
going to
didn't
look at
like
it
Beyond
that way.
Two Souls?
I did get that though. Because that was free on PlayStation Plus. I don't know if I'm ever going to play it. But I did.
Indigo Prophecy has some charm to it.
It does have charm to it until it goes totally batshit insane.
But when it goes batshit crazy, that's at like the very end of the game.
I know, and that's when it all falls apart. I think this game benefited from the fact that at no point does it jump the shark, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, unless you consider just the premise in general to be jumping the shark, but like it never has that moment where it goes, well, this is just fucking ridiculous on like a level I wasn't expecting in this game. So I know this was driving Crispy crazy last week when we watched the same footage. Nolan, I was not really an asshole like this in my game.
Sure.
This was just me trying to make different decisions for the sake of the footage. Is there anything else we want to say about Detroit before we move on, or?
No, I'm good. I like I said, I enjoyed it. I'm glad I got to play most of it with Bernadette, so there were definitely times where I like made her make the decision.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to
what happens.
Robin's gonna play
Put it
it.
on her.
I'm just looking forward to watching her play. Because I don't want to replay it for the same reasons I've talked about. So I'm wait for her to play it, and I'll just kind of see what she does.
Yeah.
Because like I said, Crispy told me about some of the shit that happened in the game, and I was like, holy fuck.
So I
not
will,
necessarily in a good way, but like
I will say that there literally was one section of the game where after something had happened, I cut to the main menu and reloaded a checkpoint because it was one of those scenarios where I chose a specific option and something exactly opposite of what I thought was going to happen happened. And that was kind of one of my frustrations with when the game just gives you the one-line sentence of like this, and it's like, oh, that makes sense. And then he says it, it's like, oh, I could see how it went that way, but that's not at all what I
feel
thought.
like this is like still like backlash from like when people like when Dragon Age first was a thing.
Yeah.
People were like, stop showing me all the dialogue and then reading it to me. Like show me just like a summary of it. And then it's like people didn't anticipate this whole like ambiguity thing where it's like,
but
I
because
didn't think that was gonna happen.
Because something like very fucking drastic happened, and I was like, you know what? I really don't like that happened, and I
want to talk
reloaded
about
it.
drastic.
I know.
I mean, I like towards the last like 2 hours of this game, everything's so interconnected, like so immediately that like you can fuck up one thing and watch it ripple
Just
out
cascade,
catastrophically. And I mean, like, there are things that happen in my ending of the game that are like kind of upsetting in an emotional, like, I care about these characters in this story kind of way. And then there are things that happen that I'm just like, David Cage, I fucking hate you for doing this. Like I think you are fucking with shit that is just beyond
fucked
you
with.
and this is kind of fucking gross for how cheap it all is.
Yeah.
And
you should have him tell you what happened.
And now
in the
that
game
I've like gotten
after the show.
Now that I've gotten like 4 or 5 days, but between me and this game, like I feel like it is incredibly forgettable.
Good to know.
I don't know, man.
Well, I wouldn't quite go as far personally as saying it's incredibly forgettable, but there is definitely some fucked up shit. I'm like, I don't know if you should have done that. But anyways, let's move on. We have a couple more little things to talk about. Chris Davis, you have a couple things you wanted to mention?
Hello, yes. I have played several other things. Mainly just 2 consistent things. So I finished my second run of Stay Decade 2.
Second run. Is this before or after the 20 gigabyte patch they released, by the way?
That's crazy.
Which, you know what? I feel better about playing the game now, maybe. I'm sure it's probably a better experience.
You honestly, they downloaded that patch in the background when I was playing something else, so I didn't even fucking notice it.
Wait, but are you sure you've been playing it with the patch already installed?
The patch from Friday, yeah.
He's just saying he didn't notice the patch being installed.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I just left it on and installed in the background.
But you didn't notice any, like, differences? Or anything?
No, it actually performed better, and they fixed some of the glitches that were, like, fucking glaring.
That's good.
Like, I no longer had a problem with characters, like, switching and fucking disappearing.
It was probably that bed issue is probably fixed. I would be willing to bet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I completed my second playthrough, and turns out New Game Plus in State of Decay isn't quite new game.
Are you about to spoil something? I always when you talk like this, I always feel like you're about to spoil something.
No, it's not a spoiler because the story of your community really isn't that good.
Everyone's bracing themselves.
Wait,
but
what?
the
if it's not a spoiler, just say it, Chris Davis.
So when you start your second or even third, your next community, you have a bunch of New Game Plus options to do. You get to choose 3 survivors from any of the communities you've ever had before.
Nolan looks like he's about to shit himself.
It's okay, Nolan. I'm
Something
not
fucking say it, Chris Davis.
I'm explaining.
It is.
Okay, you get to choose any 3 survivors that you've had in any of the communities you've had. So if you had like a save like 20 communities before, those characters are there. You could choose from them and use them. And those are the ones that you start out your new community with on the new map. You also get to choose a leader perk. You can choose 2 perks out of 4 total, and those are based on the role of your character that you upgrade as your leader. So my first game, I had a sheriff. My sheriff's ability in my second community allowed me to get every day after 24 hours has passed, I get just this bundle of really high quality items like health or a weapon or ammo, just kind of rare stuff that you don't get very often.
Yeah.
When I started my third playthrough, I just started it. I'm not going to play it until after E3 because I don't have time for that shit.
Yeah.
It was on the third map, and I got to unlock the Builder Leader perk, which allows me to have power and water at my base without taking up a slot or any like fuel loss. So I just get free power and I get free water at my base at any time.
Unlimited?
Unlimited. Forever.
Well, I feel like
as long as this perk is
key,
active.
That removes like a key component of like the game, right?
I think that
You're
it
usually
gives you the opportunity to expand your base further because there are many facilities that you don't physically have room to build because you have them reserved for power and water.
Yeah, when you're building your
Oh,
bases, you only have a set amount of slots and spaces in your
And
area.
way fewer than the amount of like structures you can build.
But when you do these new
Yeah.
game pluses, though, it's not really starting the game over. It's still continuing on in the same persistent world, right?
I mean, is persistent map? I mean, one of the 3 persistent maps. Granted, the amount of like stuff to find on the map is reset every time, and it's the same. It's the same load up every time. But the thing I think is kind of interesting about it is how they handle the background meta story, because it doesn't end when you finish a community. It continues on from when that community ended, and continues this meta story in the background of these radio transmissions and this overall arching story. And that's kind of interesting.
But okay, yeah, that sounds
So
cool.
like my first community ended with like there was something going on with Red Talon, which is like this paramilitary organization that's trying to help people. And they got overrun at a checkpoint, and then I ended my game. Okay. And I started my second community. And it continued on from there. So that story just keeps on going with hearing characters react to that metagame event that has no impact on your overall experience, but you get that narrative chunk there. It's kind of cool.
I was gone for a lot of the discussion about this game.
Yeah.
Overall. Good? No good?
I think gameplay wise, I think it's good. I think it had a lot of problems with like bugs at launch.
Yeah.
I think there's still some bug problems in
an
there.
understatement.
Yeah, I mean, I knew there was going to be a patch, but man, 20 gigabyte
It was
patch.
glitchy as fuck.
The patch I think I saw was bigger than the actual game itself.
It actually, the game was like 14 gigs or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
I mean, like, how it is now, do you think are you having more fun? Is it more enjoyable than the first game?
Yeah, I mean, gameplay wise, yes. I think the systems are more interesting.
I think the first thing Nolan said about it when he started talking about it was that he would
they really
State of Decay 1 was.
So the thing is, Crispy, you liked 1. They added so many new mechanics in this game, I feel to an extent overwhelmed. Because there are so many different things you can do. I feel like the simplicity of 1 makes it more enjoyable. Because there are so many, like, do you know if they changed fuel at all, Chris Davis?
There's more like persistent like simulation.
Well, there's simulations. There's more effects that people have positively and negatively on your community.
They focused a lot on relationships with other survivor groups.
The way buildings in your community act, how they can constantly be fluctuating on if they're creating something or not creating something, or depending on what like you can tack on add-ons like a. What's the word I'm looking for? Like attachments to those abilities, buildings, so you can add something that changes how it goes.
Like for example, I had a garden, and the attachment I put on was a water cooler, so I could double my food output from that garden every time I fill it up.
Vehicles don't get repaired in the same way as they used to. You have to have vehicle repair kits, which you have to create, which you have the materials to create, which you have to have a workshop with someone who can have that ability to run that workshop. And one of the biggest problems is you don't get to choose your survivors to an extent. They come with abilities. And if you have a guy who has a bunch of abilities that doesn't help you at all, it's like, well, I guess I'll get rid of him and hope I find someone else.
Cast him out into the wasteland.
Yeah, hope I find someone else who has ability slots open or has the abilities I need.
So you can train them.
So I can train them with books.
Because you get 4 base stats. You get cardio, wit, combat, and sharpshooter.
Yeah.
And then you've got a free fifth stat that can either be not be assigned when you find the character, or it can be set to like something specific, like utilities or computers or gardening.
Sounds like they've gotten a little more.
There's way too much going
survival.
on. To drive from one side of the map to another takes almost an entire tank of gas.
It can feel like that, and they did not patch that.
Not feel like it. It's pretty close to that.
But I figured out what the balance is for that. If you build an auto shop and you can get those upgrade kits, you can actually affect your fuel consumption for your vehicles. Like I had a truck and I had the ability to upgrade it, and I could cut my fuel consumption by half.
That literally makes no sense.
It said the lore reason was that you're crafting biofuels to put in there, so you're using less gas.
But then
I don't know.
I guess, but still, like
video games,
they should have just not fucking added a gas mechanic.
Weird. See, like this is another one I've been like wanting to play, but haven't pushed the button on because I'll have to play it on Xbox One, and that's a big ask for me.
Yeah.
Wait, why do you have to play on Xbox?
Because I have a Windows 8 PC, not Windows 10.
You can upgrade to Windows 10 for free.
You could.
We can have a whole like half an hour conversation about why I can't do that.
Okay.
But
well, let's move on. Let's move on from State of Decay 2.
It's good. I think I'm looking forward to my third playthrough. The third map looks actually is pretty interesting because it's shaped much different from the Cascade Hills or the Plateau or whatever it's called when we were on
Plateau.
Yeah. And yeah, those fucking New Game Plus perks are pretty fun. Cool.
Sweet.
The other game I've been playing, not much more to report, is BattleTech. I've now put 45 hours into the game.
Jesus.
I have just encountered and earned my first assault class mech. Assault classes, they're the heaviest mechs in the world. In fact, there's a story mission in which you get to control an Atlas for a little while, and it is a fucking monster.
So stupid.
It feels so good.
That thing is like, I don't know. It always bothered me that was like the flagship mech of BattleTech because it. I'm. You know what? Let's move on. It's stupid. It has a skull for a head. I hate it. Go on.
Yeah. Like the skull for the head.
It looks like a Rock'em Sock'em robot with a skull for a head.
Nice.
No.
It kind of is,
Sold.
yeah.
Stupid.
I'll take 2.
That was like the best they have.
But it's so good, man. I'm really... Oh, I need to put more time into this game, but I really should not put time into this game because I got Vampyr to play.
What's up, Nick?
I have a game update.
Uh-oh.
I went back to God of War.
Mm-hmm.
I beat all the Valkyries.
Oh.
All 9 of them. Holy fucking shit.
Took about 6
That
months
last
off the
one
end of
almost
his
beat
life.
me. That last one almost destroyed me.
I tried the last one twice and then just moved on with
Do you know how many... I'm not even exaggerating here. Do you know how many attempts it took me to... I would be shocked if I didn't break 100 attempts.
Wow.
But a lot of those got to the point where it was like I could identify very quickly.
You knew when you weren't going to go make it, so yeah.
Yeah, like if I took a hit within the first 10 seconds, 15 seconds of the fight, I was like, nope, starting over.
Yeah.
Luckily, because of the checkpointing system is pretty good and like it flowed really fast. So it never got like the loading time was never long. It was very easy to just jump back into it and do it. But yeah, it took me over 100 tries to beat that.
So what's the reward for beating all the Valkyries?
Well, I'm not gonna tell you. It's kind of like
it's
lore
like a
spoiler thing.
Very fucking cool thing. Okay.
I mean, yeah, it's a cool
It's
thing.
worth it,
I think.
But it's not narratively influencing.
Oh, it is. I mean, it adds to the lore in a pretty interesting way.
Okay.
But I will also say that when I finally got...
But does it?
I mean, I can't say much more without spoiling it. I can say this when I... So first of all, it was spoiled for me before I did it. I knew it was going to happen.
Okay.
but I didn't know how it was going to happen. I just knew it was going to happen. So I was like, yeah, I want to see that. And I was expecting it to be some like grand thing, like some crazy event that happens at the end. And I will say this to anyone out there who's thinking about doing it, if you're getting frustrated or whatever, you don't get some like crazy and cool cutscene at the end. It just kind of they wrap up the story. There's some dialogue. They tell you this thing, and you're like, oh, that's kind of a cool thing that I never knew. And then it's done, and that's about it.
Yep.
There's not some like earth-shattering cutscene.
But
that's
I
like, you have to see this.
that about it.
No, I mean it's cool. I don't regret doing it for an instant. And I had a lot of fun fighting the Valkyries. They're so cool. They're all kind of different. They all have their own quirks to them. And once you kind of beat one or two and you have a feel for how they fight, I started like knocking them down really, really quickly. But that last one's a fucking doozy. Oh my god. Yeah, it was cool. I'm glad I did it. I don't know if I would necessarily recommend doing it if you're not really
What
into
level were you when you did it?
By the time I got to the final one, I was level 7.
Okay.
Did you is it checkpointed like before the end that you can go and do it, or?
Well, I mean, like
post-game,
the Valkyries
or?
are just like littered around the world, and the checkpointing is like every time you walk into a new room, it kind of checkpoints. So like, yeah, when I fought this lady, I was in a room, and literally every time it saved, I just walk forward, I touch this thing, fight's on.
Well, I'm saying you beat the game before you started doing this challenge.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So you reloaded to a point before that final sequence?
No,
and
the game persists after you beat the game.
Oh, it keeps going.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a lot of most open world games. You beat the game, it persists, you can keep playing. So I
wonder how that would affect the final fight if you did it before that.
Not
much.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's some interesting shit happens at the end of that game. Obviously, I'm not going to spoil it. But yeah, the Valkyrie thing was really cool. I'm glad I did it. But like, it was very definitively like the thing I wanted to do, where I would know as soon as that's done, I'm done with this game. I've done everything I want to do. I'm not going to play God of War again. And that was it. I retired the game as soon as I finished that last Valkyrie. So I feel pretty good about the whole thing. But yeah, it was a little bit of a bitch. Anyways, let's get on to the news. There's some stuff to talk about. It's almost E3, so there's quite a bit of stuff leaking, being announced. One thing I think is very different about this E3, which it's kind of exciting, is that a lot of the publishers are taking a very different approach this year. It's the second year it's open to the public. It's been, for years, it's kind of been the same thing over and over again. Like it's always like press conferences, announcements, show floor, that's it. Correct. Publishers are starting to spread stuff out more. So like E3 quite literally starts 4 or 5 days earlier this year because a lot of those announcements are dropping.
According to E3, it started yesterday.
Yeah, E3. Yeah. So E3 misscheduled their tweet for the end of day one, and it like went out yesterday, which was pretty funny. Did you see Brad responded to that? Brad responded to their tweet saying, "That's the end of day one. What did you think of first day?" Whatever. And Brad responded, "Well, Metroid Prime 4 really surprised me with all these like new," and I was just like, "That's pretty good. That's pretty good." But yeah, they owned it. They owned it, and made a pretty good joke about it. But Sony is doing this thing this week where they're making a new announcement every day. And I've seen a lot of people who are kind of negative about this because for whatever reason, I think there's a lot of people out there who are literally expecting like them to drop some of their biggest announcements prior to their press conference, which is not at all. This is very much like,
that's not how they roll.
We talked about this last week a little bit. This is them trying to control the news cycle and kind of not be drowned out by all the other big shit that's going to be happening next week.
Well, I think a lot of times what happens is, you have a press conference, it's an hour. So you only have 60 minutes to dole out this much information.
90 in some cases.
Some cases 90.
Yeah.
And so you have to choose, what do I want to spend my time on? Do I want to be like Microsoft and show 48 games in like 20 minutes, like fucking just knock them out, bam, 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 bam? Or could I spend some more time on one of those bigger announcements and take the time I was going to use on this, while still an announcement, but a smaller one, and maybe take that one and do it the day before?
Yeah, like some of these smaller projects don't benefit at all necessarily from being in the middle of like a huge press conference.
Yeah, and they almost get lost.
Yeah, they do.
And also in doing that, they control a news cycle or be the biggest part of the news cycle for a day or two. Exactly.
So like the first one I wanted to bring up was Sony's first announcement, which was yesterday. And that was, they announced Tetris Effect, which is
holy shit,
which is a new Tetris game from the creator of Rez, Tetsuya Mizuguchi. I can't say his name. Tetsuya Mizuguchi, the creator of Rez and Lumines. And if you've ever played either of those games, you know like how crazy and psychedelic those games are, how awesome the music is. Like Lumines is very easily like one of my favorite like traditional like puzzle game. I don't know, would you call Tetris a puzzle game or Lumines a puzzle game? I don't know what the
Tetris is a puzzle game.
Block puzzle game. Lumines was my favorite. So to see them let him do a Tetris game is a really cool thing. But the catch is it's also compatible with PlayStation VR. And I am absolutely 110% going to play this game. I think that sounds so fucking cool. The trailer is super trippy, and I was jamming. I was really enjoying the music and the tone of just watching the trailer. Yeah. I can't wait to kind of see how they translate that to a VR experience.
But like, do you think that the last 30 seconds when they're actually showing the blocks falling and things like that and beat with the music, do you think that's actual gameplay?
Dude, I think it's going to be something like that.
If it is, that's great.
I'm really hoping they have some demo stations with VR set up at E3 because that would be really cool.
Oh, you know they will.
I'm pretty confident this game is going to be psychedelic as fuck. It's going to have some really crazy music, and it's probably going to be like the craziest way to play Tetris ever. So absolutely, 110% going to play this game.
I think the craziest way to play Tetris ever is actually Refactor.
Or that
in development.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean
to pants.
I didn't mean to shut out Bob and Joseph and everybody.
Refactor has nothing to do with Tetris.
It is
Tetrominoes.
You're technically not playing Tetris, but I see where you were going with that. All right, and actually, I didn't make an overlay for this, but today's announcement, well, not a game announcement, they announced the release date. They announced the release date for Days Gone, which is February 22nd, 2019. So it's nice to have a release date on that. You know,
we have our first confirmed 2019 game.
We already knew it was early 2019. I'm surprised.
I'm pretty sure our confirmed 2019 is Crackdown 3.
Oh yeah, that's all. I don't have an overlay for that either. But Crackdown 3 was officially delayed to 2019. I don't think that game's coming out. By the time it does, I don't think anybody.
What is happening with that?
Dude, nobody is going to care about that game when it comes out. Nobody.
It better be like life-changing.
Terry Crews probably does.
Oh my god, that game better be amazing. It better be. I do not have faith, really, because I would not describe Crackdown 1 or 2 as amazing games. So the fact that they're taking so long getting this out the door is just beyond me. But I think the other big news, which was also today, was they've been teasing it all week, but IO Interactive and Warner Brothers announced Hitman 2.
About damn time.
So first of all, I think this is really cool. One, because IO Interactive.
How many episodes is this one going to be?
One.
Ah!
Yes!
So, first of all, I'm kind of surprised. I thought everybody was going to be kind of negative about this. This is not an episodic game.
I think everybody's positive that it's not an episodic game.
I would have liked to have been episodic.
We talked about this a little bit last week, I think. But, like, and a lot of it's been talked about in Discord. I thought everybody was really hyped about the fact that the Hitman Season 1 was an episodic game. I think, and I said this before, I think Hitman 1 is very much... Oh, we talked about it on 4Player Plus.
Yeah.
I think Hitman 1, Season 1, is very much like the perfect game for episodic format. Now, me personally, it made it difficult for me to get invested in playing it because I knew if I picked it up, played an episode, and then... I couldn't be expected to play it again 3 months later when they release another episode.
So that's the thing, is when it comes out episodically, what I do is I pick it up and I play an episode and I'm like, oh, well, I still want to play more, so I replay that episode, and I do it a couple of times, find out all the different ways, and I feel like if I have everything just unlocked, I'm just going to be like, well, I'm done with episode 1, I guess I'll go on to episode 2 now, or whatever, go to the next segment of the game, and like the replayability means I have to go through the entire game. I don't have to, but I feel like I'm going to, before going back to the first sequence of it.
Yeah.
And I feel like when they give it to me, you know, make me, and I don't think, maybe they stretched it out a little too much, maybe they should do it maybe once a month or something like that, for 6 months or something like that, and that kind of release window, which just gives me time to explore that section of that town, like find the hundreds of ways to take out my enemies.
One thing I think they are going to continue doing, and this is not, I don't think this is confirmed yet, but I would be shocked if they didn't, but they're probably going to continue doing like the monthly events and stuff. And,
no, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, they will. That was the most popular thing about Hitman Season 1, I think.
Yeah, now a couple,
like they had to do that, almost, to keep the game afloat. I think. I mean, one reason why I'm kind of excited that it's not going to be episodic, we were pretty positive about the last Hitman when it came out and it was episodic, but I think a lot of that was kind of driven by this assumption that coming off of Absolution, that, oh, if they're doing episodic, that means that each of these episodes has to be pretty lengthy, and they're going to have a lot of time to develop them, and we're not going to get absolution.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now that they've shown that they can still make good Hitman content, I don't think it's as crucial for it to be episodic, and I also think, if anything, it's a little bit of a hindrance because of, like, I think kind of because of, like, what you're saying, Nolan. Like I'll play it for a couple hours once every, like, 4 months or something, and then forget about it, and then wait for the next one, and then feel like I have to go back and play these other ones, and it puts you into a lot of these situations where, maybe this is just me, personal opinion, I don't know, but I really, I rarely feel as desperate as I do when I'm playing a game that I don't really want to be playing, but I'm just playing it because it's the closest thing I can get to the thing I really want to be playing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like when there's like a new Fallout coming out, and I'm going back and playing New Vegas again because I'm really excited about the new Fallout coming out, or you know,
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed, any of these like long series, like not episodic, but multi-release series, like. And I feel like with Hitman, I was doing that more, and I was kind of getting my fill off of what I'd already played, and then not really, like, jumping on the new content. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I think one thing that's kind of... The fact that this is not an episodic game this time, I think, kind of proves that before, it was more of a requirement on the publisher's end. Like,
Correct.
The only reason Square Enix was going to fund the game was if they did it this way, and if it allowed them to experiment from episode to episode, see what worked, see what didn't work, so that, like, by the time we got to the end of the game,
episode 6 was one of the best fucking
they had
episodes.
solidified
it was
what
really
worked.
good.
That was the best decision for them to make at the time.
Yeah.
And now that they're under the Warner Brothers
They
umbrella,
kind of figured it out.
they're like, we know y'all have it figured out, just jump in, make a new game. So here we get November 13th, 2018, we get Hitman 2. It's a full-blown retail release of all the missions.
But I would also argue that since they went with that episodic release, sales-wise, like, people, it's just diminishing returns as you keep going on and you stretch out the length of this game.
I doubt episode 6 sold nearly as much as episode 1.
There's
I'm sure
no way.
a lot of people bought the season pass.
They
as
make
well.
more money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought the season pass, and I did not download even half the missions.
Yeah.
Like,
Which is sad, because those...
I know it's sad, but it's like,
but
I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just because of the way we play games here, or whatever. Like, it is so jarring to be 6 months out from the initial release of that game for them to be like, hey, there's a new mission, and for me to just drop what I'm doing and go download it and play it, and then be like, all right, that was awesome. I spent 3 hours with it.
Yeah.
See you in a month and a half.
Yeah, see you later, I guess.
So this is exciting. Did y'all watch the trailer?
Yes.
What y'all think? Sean B.
Yeah, that's part of my 4-player minute. But I will say that means 2.5 weeks is all we get to play Red Dead 2.
Yeah, right.
Oh, well, speak for yourself. I'll be playing Red Dead still, but
for sure.
but I do intend to play this one.
I'm
hopefully.
particularly interested in... They announced co-op for this game.
Yeah. There's also a Sniper Assassin Challenge game, which is available as a pre-order bonus.
Which I really hope that's like
Which
an
apparently is
official like
good.
mode.
I've heard
They did for Absolution, right?
Did they?
Yeah, Absolution had one.
I don't remember.
So a couple things I want to say that from the trailer. One, I think the trailer was really cool, and also I think it was a really nice misdirect with their teases for this announcement, because they did this tease like in 72 hours we're going to announce something, and they did this like thing that looked like a NASCAR, like they were going to announce like a racing game or something.
Yeah, like an F1
and
game.
it turns out the trailer
kind of looks like it's
and the trailer turns out it's really Agent 47 going to assassinate someone on a racetrack at
It's like Monaco or something.
yeah,
like
which I think was really
Yeah.
fucking cool. Like I hope that's an actual mission in the game, and like
sure.
Oh, no, it is.
That would be an
sounds-
amazing set piece for it.
Can you just walk onto the track and fucking...
Oh
shoot
my
him?
god, that would be so
Maybe?
fucking cool. Yeah, like that shit sounds super exciting. One thing I did see though is like if you read some of the articles talking about like what's been revealed about this game so far, it sounds like they're doing like another like story-driven Hitman game. Like this sounds like they're trying to pull off what they did with Absolution but with the mechanics that they did with season 1.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Which I know is a scary
season
thing
1
to
had
say.
an overarching story, though.
It
Did it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It did.
Okay.
Pretty much at the end of every mission,
thought
they
everything was
doled
kinda
out a big
disconnected.
chunk of story, like a little.
But like, if you read like the synopsis for this game, it makes it sound like Agent 47 sent to kill this one target, and then discover something super like a conspiracy and has to take down. Like it sounds like
Like, it wasn't as strong as that, but like when you finished the Colorado mission, that story event at the end of that led on into the Hokkaido mission.
okay. Well, and that True, but like I think there was a distinct difference between how they handled the story there and how they did what they set up for Hitman Absolution. And it seems to me like they're trying to do what they did with Hitman Absolution again, but do it right this time. I don't know. It's hard to tell. You know, y'all talk a lot about wanting to be wacky, crazy stuff, and I'm sure we'll get that. There's
they've already released screenshots with wacky shit.
Yeah, but the trailer has a very different. This trailer has a very like serious tone, which I thought was like. There's nothing.
Has there ever been a Hitman trailer that's not been super serious?
It does, but like the stuff you're doing is still kind of like outlandish.
Yeah,
you know?
sure.
It's still like that outlandish like spy movie kind of shit where he's like going through these convoluted steps to like kill a pit crew guy and hide his body and then sneak out onto the track and like loosen a bolt on the like that kind of stuff is cool. You know?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like setting up these Rube Goldberg devices of murder is what is cool about Hitman.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong.
It doesn't make any sense.
I'm not trying to sound like I'm down on it. I think the trailer sold me on it, and I'm pretty excited for this. So we'll be looking forward to playing that in November, and I'm sure we'll have a lot of fun discussions about that when we start telling stories about how we took out our targets again. So was there another news topic besides the Steam? I didn't want to mention the Steam thing really.
Avalanche.
Oh yeah, this is weird. Did anyone see this? Avalanche Studios announced a new IP today. Okay,
Generation Zero.
Zero. So yesterday there was a tease, like they showed something on Twitter, like a picture of someone at Avalanche playing a game that was clearly like not something they've announced before. And then today they released a full trailer for it and announced it's a brand new IP called Generation Zero, which takes place. It's in Sweden. I want to say
it's Swedish.
I think it takes place. Someone in chat could correct me if I'm wrong. But I believe it takes place in Sweden during the 80s.
Okay.
But like, it's an open world, first person shooter action game where you're defending, like, and you can. It's a co-op game. You can play it cooperatively where you're defending like, these places from like giant robot.
Sure.
And whatnot.
As you do.
You have my attention.
Yeah, you'd think so. Like, I watched the trailer and it seems so soulless. It seems so dull. It's so, and this is just my initial reaction.
It's so Swedish.
No, I didn't mean to say that. But like, I don't know what it is. Like, the first trailer just was like really kind of dull, and I'm wondering how much of that stems from the fact that like I have played a game like Horizon where like they make fighting robots like incredibly tense and super action packed, and like. This just didn't really do it for me.
I mean, not all giant robots can be.
I know, I'm not. And like
dinosaur robots.
All we have to go on right now is like a 1.5-minute long trailer and a title. So who knows? Like I said, Avalanche is a studio that I've enjoyed seeing what they're doing. They did Mad Max. They're doing Rage 2. Like apparently this just leaked right before the show. Just Cause 4 is definitely a thing that's happening. That's going to get officially shown next week.
Thanks, Walmart.
Yeah, that wasn't even Walmart. That was Steam today. Steam started accidentally showing ads for Just Cause 4 a little too early.
But that just means that everything else on the Walmart list is pretty much confirmed at this point.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean,
which means Splinter Cell.
Which means Splinter Cell. Which means Borderlands 3. Which means Gears 5.
That's weird. Yeah.
Was Halo 6 on that?
No.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Like Halo is not mentioned right now.
I want to go back and look at that.
Which means it's going to be announced.
I want to go back and look at that Walmart leak again. See what I kind of brushed off as like that's probably not real.
One of the things under the radar also today, one of the things I got to see during lunch, my brief lunch, Bohemia Interactive looks to be working on a new title.
And it's what do they do again?
So they're responsible for the Arma series and DayZ.
Yes, okay.
But it looks to be like something that's not a fucking simulator. Huh? So
evidently it's probably going to be some multiplayer focused experience. I would be shocked if it wasn't.
But something that's not fucking Arma. And it's been a long ass time.
Anyways, y'all should watch the trailer for Generation Zero. I just want to see what y'all think because it looks kind of dull.
It kind of looks like that one dude that does the. You ever seen that guy? I see his art everywhere, but like he takes old scenes of like World War I, World War II, like European landscapes, and then he puts these like giant,
mechs.
Like almost like diesel punk like robots in them.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the there's that RTS game coming out later this year.
This is an artist who does this isn't a game.
Like
this is just some guy
like paintings
who
of
makes
landscapes.
these, paintings and puts
Yeah,
them
that
up
game
online.
was based on his artwork.
Oh, well,
What?
It's not called Iron Brigade. It's Iron something. But it's an RTS set in 1920, and it's basically World War I mechs, and in the European battlefields.
Iron Harvest?
Iron Harvest. Yes,
that
that's
it?
it.
Interesting.
Huh.
Yeah,
I
it was
definitely see-
kickstarted and did pretty well.
I definitely see the resemblance here, but yeah, I just thought that was interesting. We'll probably find out more about it. I don't know if that'll be at E3, but we'll find out more about it. I just think it's crazy that Avalanche is doing this many projects simultaneously.
Yeah.
That's kind of nuts. I hope that doesn't mean any one of them suffer.
I mean, there are two studios.
They opened up another new studio fairly recently. I think one in New York, and I don't know. But yeah, it's interesting. Anyways, we need to move on. Let's jump over. Nolan, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready for the community?
I'm ready.
Do it.
Let's do it. Community.
Thrilling.
Sorry, my phone's trying to do an update, and I'm like, please stop. 2 new patrons this week.
Woo!
Those
Is it 2?
patrons, yes.
Patronos.
I have 4 emails,
Okay,
but maybe 2 of those are returning.
I think returning people.
Possibly.
Cool.
It's like,
Who are the 2 you were going to mention?
yeah, Trinity Fox.
Yeah.
Trinity Fox.
And Hunden. Hunden.
One's not Bill Cosby? Okay, good.
No, that one hasn't happened yet.
So yeah, thanks for being patrons,
Yeah,
guys.
thanks, guys. If you're interested in supporting us on Patreon, patreon.com/4player.
Every week we post a thread on there where any patron donating at least $1
Holy shit.
can ask any question they want.
We got a bunch of Patreon questions literally since we started this podcast. Why everybody
Nice.
wait so long this week?
Yeah. Well, I'm stopping at Brucey's. That's the last one I saw.
Okay.
I don't know if more have come in, but first question from Mr. Greentoast. What are some of your favorite factions and games? For example, I love the Children of Atom faction in Fallout games, who worship atomic bombs.
Or just the one.
Yeah.
Worship and atomic bomb.
I like the Fireflies.
From
No, you
last-
don't.
Yeah, that's
terrible, Nolan.
how dare you?
Did you not finish that game?
How dare you?
No, he just played factions. He doesn't know the ending.
Oh my God.
I do prefer them to the whatevers in factions, though.
The Hunters.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just like it in
Right,
factions.
in factions.
I like playing as a Firefly.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Got a cool name. Fireflies.
Oh. Factions.
I feel like
Yeah.
factions is never something that I focus on particularly when I play games. It's just
You're not into
Uh,
in-game politics.
I'm really not.
I like the Rangers in the Metro series. The Guardians of Polis.
The Dark Brotherhood in Skyrim is pretty cool.
Well, Dark Brotherhood isn't that in like every Elder
Well,
Scrolls game?
and, yeah, but I guess in Elder Scrolls 5, there was
Yeah.
a lot of it, and I like the whole like leaving like the handprint and the note and all that shit, and the quest line that follows that.
I feel like I missed a key part of Elder Scrolls by never doing any of this stuff.
I saw an image the other day of the Brotherhood hand, and it usually says "We know."
We know.
Yeah, this one said we've updated our privacy
Oh,
policy.
God damn it. God damn it. Get you every time.
Yeah.
Did you see that when they were
There's
talking about
plenty of them.
but the Bethesda stream where they were teasing the announcement for Fallout 76 and it was on for 24 hours. They were like, wouldn't it be funny if at the end of the stream at 24 hours it just like fades in and it was like, we've updated our privacy policy. It's like, gotcha! Like that would have been good.
Really, stick it to them.
Oh shit.
I mean, we look around this room at Nolan's thing of games, and we're like,
Nolan needs to buy more games.
yeah, he does.
Oh, they're all digital.
I don't know. You know, like, it's so superficial and doesn't mean anything at all. But in the Mass Effect series, there was like these 3 big corporation, like mercenary companies.
Mm-hmm.
There was like the
Blood Pack.
Yeah, the Blood Pack and the Yellow Sun. I think.
the Blue Suns.
Blue Suns, and then there was the yellow one.
I forget what it's.
I don't remember, but like the story never focused on them. They weren't really that.
They were just
important,
enemies to
but they
fight.
were always there. And
Yeah.
they kind of had these little backstories, and like their personality kind of reflected the personality of like the people who had founded them, and like I don't know. I always kind of
What constitutes a faction? Is Shinra
A group
faction?
of people. A what?
yeah.
Well, Shinra.
Fuck it, Shinra.
Yeah,
Sure.
That's a
Mustache
company, though.
twirling villains.
They were like raping
Well,
the earth.
we got a lot more questions, so let's move
Wow,
on.
way to make me sound terrible.
At least they're not children of the earth.
That's true.
Could be
Sir
worse.
Thomas Stipple asks,
Overwatch. Yeah.
Brad mentioned that he never puts squishy rogues in the front lines of his parties in RPGs. As someone who had a front row melee rogue in both Grim Rock games, I enjoyed the high risk, high reward challenge that decision brought to the game. Do you have a game where you opted for a riskier playstyle up to the challenge, or mix up your usual playstyle?
Oh no, I play it safe so
I
bad.
feel like most games that have like, that follow like an RPG, like a traditional RPG class system that have like magic users, picking the magic user is always like kind of risky.
It always is.
Not just from like a stat standpoint, even like they usually tend to be weaker. They usually tend to only have like offensive magic going for them, especially in video games like that. Like magic is so much more offensive. But it's also like I don't know. It's like it's a riskier choice almost. What am I trying to say? Like narratively almost.
I would say any game that offers like a pacifist run option, I usually go for that.
That's true, you do.
Every Metal Gear game, Dishonored 1 and 2, I did that. Dishonored 2, my first playthrough was as Emily, and I chose not to have powers.
Yeah, I don't even know. Well, I say that purely as someone who like knows I'm only ever going to play the game once, at least for a very long time. So I tend to play it the way I know I'm going to enjoy it the most the first time I play it.
That is interesting.
But like, I never actually did this because there was a long time where I was like really trying to get into like at the time it was Final Fantasy 11. I was like, I'm gonna find an MMO that I really want to play, and I'm like, I'm gonna do this. And I was obsessed with the idea of trying to. I couldn't decide between wanting to be a summoner because I really also wanted to try playing as a bard, which I think is maybe not the go-to option. Which, especially if it's like your first time playing an MMO or an RPG. It's like I was like that. I was like, the bard sounds fucking cool. Like I don't know, and that was definitely
Bards are awesome.
Yeah, I know, but
But it's not what you think of first.
Yeah,
normally.
I think those
as your like heroic insert character.
Yeah, but I also think like you have to have a certain level of familiarity with like how MMOs maybe work to like really benefit or play to those classes' strengths.
Yeah, I mean your first instinct when you play a game like this is
I didn't know what I was
you
doing.
want to be like a frontliner, like a magic or a physical attack.
I was like,
there's not a whole lot of call for like support players.
I was like, people are going to be relying on me for shit. I don't know what I'm doing. I just wanted to play music. That seemed like a cool thing to do. But yeah.
All right, let's move on. Trinity Fox, one of our new patrons.
One of our new patrons.
Yes. Recently started listening to the podcast, and you guys are great.
Oh, thank
you.
Anyways, I noticed that a large portion of the hypes from you guys are about E3. So I was wondering, which game of this year has you most wanting to manhandle your ham candle?
Ham candle.
Yes, most hyped about.
Manhandle your ham candle.
It's been a long time since
that's a hard thing to say fast.
Which has you wishing it would never see the light of day?
So you're saying what game has us the most hyped?
Mm-hmm.
If it's real, Splinter Cell.
If history is any indicator, it's probably something we don't know about yet.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but like if you're talking about this year, like a lot of the things that we're going to get hyped about next week at E3
things
are
that
going to
we
be
know
things
we're
that
going to
are-
be there that we're really hyped about. For me right now, probably Spider-Man.
Mine is also Spider-Man. September is like I feel like I'm not going to play anything else. There's so much coming out in September, but like Spider-Man is like all I can think about.
If we get some like real information about Death Stranding, that could also be really cool.
I think that's going to be played on the show, like on the stage.
That
Sony.
last trailer, like that last bit that they released for that was like actually got me interested.
Dude,
I did, yeah.
This time next week we might know what Death Stranding actually is.
I hope not.
No,
I
we won't.
really
You
hope
don't wanna know?
I really hope until the day it comes out, all they do is very
I hope
obscure
you finish the
things.
game and go, what the
Yes.
fuck was that?
That's what I'm saying. I
Like-
really hope we never figure it out.
Well, okay, well even if that does happen, like they're going to show the game at some point. You could still be just as confused, but We might know what gameplay.
We might know how
is.
we interact with
I'm
it.
sure we saw gameplay. I'm sure that all that shit was gameplay.
Well, we'll see.
So for me,
Why a baby?
ham candle for me is Red Dead 2.
Yeah.
I am just fucking ridiculously excited for that game. And Never See the Light of Day for me is the Pokemon game. The Let's Go.
Wait, what was the Never See the
Let's
Light
go
of Day part?
Eevee.
Let's Go Pikachu.
Whatever a game you wish you wouldn't see the light of day.
Oh,
A game that you wish you wouldn't see the light of day, not a game that would make you never see the light of day.
Correct.
I would go with. I'd probably go with Black Ops 4.
Oh, I don't. You know, I don't care enough. I don't hate anything that much to hope it doesn't exist. There's like 4 screens.
Oh
screen,
no!
and they all
The
went
screensaver.
black.
Keep going.
Yeah. No.
Oh.
I hope that's not my computer. I think it's just the monitors turning off. Yeah.
Okay. Can't blame me for that.
Yeah.
We're back. Sorry about that. Next question.
Andrew asks, Bed Wed Behead, E3, PAX, and the Game Awards. He also says, in retrospect, this is a fucking stupid question, and I apologize.
Bed, wed, behead.
E3 PAX and what?
Game Awards.
The Game Awards.
I mean,
You kill the Game Awards.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
You fuck E3 and you marry PAX.
I think I'm gonna marry E3. It's literally like my favorite week of the year.
I think
every year.
I agree with that. Like but maybe for different reasons, because I feel like E3 is kind of like our obligation.
Yeah.
We are honor bound to E3, and PAX is just this fun thing we kind of fuck off to every once in a while. You know, and like we don't even take it that seriously
Oh
anymore.
my god, you're right.
Yeah. You know,
Oh my god,
like-
PAX is like our
your side chick?
Our side chick. Oh my god. PAX is our side chick.
Yep.
And nobody needs the Game Awards. Come on.
No.
Jeff keeps trying, but
No,
Hey,
Jeff is great, and I
he's
wish him
doing-
all the success in the world. But like, I don't even think movies need awards. So like, the Game Awards make no sense to me.
Yeah, very true. I mean, the only reason I even tune into the Game Awards is for the same reason I tune into E3 is because I know they announce
Announcements.
crazy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And plus Chick Hydrobot.
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
I'll never live that down.
Shy asks, what is the drunkest nerd thing you've ever done, and how drunk were you?
that time Nolan and I got drunk and then proceeded to name all the characters in that Dragon Ball Z poster.
Yeah.
Like, there's like 100 characters in this thing, and we were both sloppy drunk, and we're just like, that's Goten, that's Gotenks, that's Vegito.
Yep.
Just-
It was
so many Saiyans on one poster.
Yeah.
do you still have that poster?
I do.
Okay.
You should see it. It's a lot of characters.
I can probably go grab
think
it
I've
from
seen
the
it.
other room.
I think I'll head to the apartment.
Yeah, I know.
It is covered from top to bottom in
Yep.
Dragon Ball Z characters.
Drunk is
That's-
the nerd thing.
Mm,
I don't know. I got drunk, so I probably don't remember.
yeah. Yeah, I can't think of anything specific. I mean, besides that. That was pretty...
I mean, I tend to do nerdy shit even when I'm not
Yeah.
drunk, so...
I mean, I've gotten supremely drunk based around nerdy shit, but like it wasn't like the result of being drunk.
Yeah.
For me, it's probably something on like Cocktail Time.
Like I remember one stream I did in which I decided to play a Souls game or something like that, and I took a shot every time I died.
Oh, God. Why would you do that?
Because I
I'm
wasn't
sorry.
Smart.
That's a dumb idea.
And then you
I
didn't-
was bowing down
You're
before the
dumb.
porcelain
and then
throne
you
for a
didn't,
while.
and then you didn't like that game.
All right, let's move on. More questions. SMG Sterling. So with Vampyr being out, I was wondering, what's everyone's favorite vampire? Personally, gotta go with either Blade or maybe a slightly more fringe choice, the Grandpa from the Munsters.
That's
pretty
So
good.
what's your favorite vampire?
Grandpa
Vampire or
Monster's
vampire movie?
Vampire. Period. Just vampire.
Vampire. Bill Nighy from Underworld. Actually, you know what? So I my regular weekly D&D group that I DM for, we the last couple of weeks just started playing Curse of Strahd, and I actually got them far enough into it where like they could have an encounter with Strahd. And now after like kind of building this image of who that character is in my head, like he's fucking dope. Like I kind of like I came up like my first real exposure to vampires was stuff like Blade, where they were trying to put a more like modern twist on it, you know. And I'm kind of over that now. Like, I think the old school, like Eastern European, like real, like superstitious vampire, like the crucifixes hurt them, and like the running water burns them, and things like that. That's kind of what I like in vampires now.
Just a question about Curses, Strahd. How long did it take your group to get past where we got?
Well, they actually didn't start exactly where you guys started.
Okay.
So immediately. But it didn't take them very long at all. It only really took them a session and a half to get out of that first town that you guys were
Did any of them jerk off into a book?
No.
That's a strictly Carlos
No,
thing,
they
I'm pretty
didn't.
sure.
For me, my favorite vampire would be Vladislav the Poker.
And I'm going to go with what y'all are probably already guessing.
with that one.
Mm-hmm. What?
My favorite vampire is probably Angel from Buffy.
Of course.
I figured it was going to be a Buffy reference.
Yeah, it's definitely got to be a
It
Buffy.
was either
Goddamn-
Angel or it was going to be like Spike.
With the goddamn Romulan
Spike is pretty
forehead.
good. Spike is pretty good, but he also had some moments that I'm not a big fan of.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of Buffy, you probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I had my soul back.
All right, moving on. Zero Skies. In your opinion, what is the most stylish game console and controller?
Stylish? Now here's the thing. I would honestly, if we're talking about right now or just in general.
Stylish.
Super Famicom.
So we're just talking about in general.
You mean
Yeah.
with the different colored buttons?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
Stylish, man.
I kind of like the old school PlayStation though, the gray with the different colors.
I do like the PlayStation 1.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Not the
Like
PlayStation.
the mini PlayStation 1?
The PlayStation 1.
The little like it doesn't have like
That had
rounded
the-
corners.
This. I had the
Yeah, it was like much smaller. It was about half the size.
Yeah.
fucking-
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not talking about the console though. I'm talking about. I was talking about the controller. But But yeah.
Well, they come as a pair
I think that's pretty nice.
with
I still
with
have-
Chrono Cross.
Oh my
I
god.
In
still
it.
have
Nice.
that anniversary PS4 controller that's in the PS1 colors. And that shit. That I think is my favorite controller
I should have gotten
I've
that
ever
one.
owned of any controller ever.
I think my favorite console, like hardware, is probably as far as in terms of like design, is probably the GameCube. I love
That's
that.
a cool
I do like the
console.
GameCube.
How it's got its fucking built-in handle, and it's just
Yeah.
I love the way
It was
the buttons
perfect for
feel.
bashing someone over the head with.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect bludgeoning
it was
material.
really. I remember that being really distinctive at the time when that was like when that generation was the main.
Yeah,
Like that GameCube just looks
This
classic.
was my first PlayStation.
nice.
Really.
Yeah, and then I got this in Final Fantasy VIII, and that's all I had for like a year. Yeah, no, it is. I fucking love it, man.
But you know what? Like it's, the Switch is like as far as design, like in terms of just like pure design, I think the Switch is pretty
Functionality.
phenomenal. Yeah, especially from a functional standpoint.
all right,
I don't know. I really like the NES redesign that Nolan has right there.
the top loader.
Yeah,
that
the
is
top
pretty
loader.
slick.
That was
I do
pretty
like
nice.
it.
Nice.
Yeah, I got that when I worked at Game Crazy. A guy sold it to me for $15
What an idiot.
because Game Crazy wouldn't accept it as a trade-in, and I was like, I will clock out, walk outside, and give you $15, and he was like, all right.
I used to do that.
At the time, I might have even said Dreamcast, but the controller ruins everything.
Yeah.
Final question for the evening, Brucey the Wizard. G'day, team. As a massive fan of the Munchies, I want to know what's the weirdest thing you have eaten. For me, it's silkworm larva. In Korea, 3 out of 10 don't recommend.
Yikes, that sounds gross.
The weirdest thing.
I thought there was going something different with the Munchies. Like he was like, "What's your favorite snack?"
Yeah, right.
What's your
Weirdest
favorite
thing
weird ass snack?
I've eaten.
It's probably something on this fucking show.
Probably.
I mean,
like dried-
Vegemite
We
hurt
did eat.
you.
We did eat the crickets that one
That
time.
one- no,
the
there's-
dried crickets. That was really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I mean, those
they're
just
so-
tasted like dirt.
Some sort of
They
oddly.
didn't really have anything.
God.
Yeah.
It just kind of like fell apart in your mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, that was not the most disgusting thing we've eaten.
I've subjected Brad to a number of
anything
really
Chris
strange,
Davis has
terrible
brought
foods.
with those like flavored candies and sodas and
Dude,
shit.
that
Stuff is
that licorice that Brad brought
Yeah.
the other week was disgusting.
It was
I
pretty
don't
bad.
know, the gravy candy. The gravy
That
candy.
is offensive.
The problem with the gravy candy was it made the whole fucking room reek.
Oh
That is
god.
terrible too. That a hard candy can do that.
Yeah.
Like
It
how
just
is
lingers on your breath.
That? Oh, I don't know. Like those Vegemite wasn't weird, I guess, but that was a fucking ordeal.
Yeah, especially since
you did it multiple times.
And the part where he just squirted it into his mouth. That took balls.
Hold on, SMG says his is probably kimchi or calamari. Those are just like regular foods.
Yeah, calamari is
say
fine.
He's boring.
I know.
Calamari is fantastic. Now I'll be honest, I didn't do this myself because I chickened out. But when I was in China, I watched two of my friends drink snake wine.
Oh yeah,
yeah. With there's like a big jar,
like a snake in it,
dead snake like coiled at the bottom.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say something like one of those dishes where they have like the cuttlefish that they put soy sauce on, and it just
And it
like
starts
starts
freaking
moving.
out.
Oh
Yeah.
no, I'm actually genuinely curious, but I mean, I don't think I could ever do it just because living thing, you know.
Well, it's not alive.
Right,
But like it looks. I mean, it looks like.
I guess it looks like it.
I don't
It's
know.
basically necromancy.
Rybendo has the king
Wait,
of
what,
all the bad decisions.
I mean, not necessarily.
Surströmming.
What is that?
It's
Imagine fermented fish that you stick in the ground for about 2 years.
So that's how fermentation works. I mean,
You
generally-
let it ferment for that entire time, and then you just
Nothing
eat
about
it raw.
fermentation says you have to put it in the ground. That's just an extra disgusting step.
Oh my god.
well,
People are turning on credit.
that's all the questions this week. Thanks to all of our patrons for asking those lovely questions. Once again, every week we post a thread on Patreon where as long as you are a patron who donates $1 or more, you can ask us any question you want.
$1 or more gets you ability to ask us questions. You can also tune in during our. You can access the Discord specific chat channels, and you can interact with 4Player Plus if you're at the. I want to say $5. I should have done my research for this. $5 tier. But like I said, we are planning on making some changes to Patreon here shortly, so some of those things might move around a little bit. I don't know. But if you're interested, find us at patreon.com/4player. Now it is time to wrap up the show with the 4-player minute. Hype, sweat, thank you, fuck you, or any combination of those four. Who's going to go first? Thank you for volunteering, Crispy.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. Off the cuff. I'm going to do a few hypes just to pad things out because I'm really excited this week. First hype off the top of my head is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh,
that
yes.
movie looks so fucking good. That trailer they put out was awesome. I love the art style. I love the characters and the action.
Humor was pretty good,
The
too.
humor was really good. It looks like it's going to be great. It looks... I mean, it... I'm kind of at a point right now where I feel like I really liked Spider-Man Homecoming. It's a great movie, don't get me wrong, but like this narratively might have been a better direction for them to take Spider-Man just in the main
Probably.
MCU.
But I do like what Sony found, like what Sony has decided to do with Spider-Man now that Marvel has their version. So
My second hype for the week is going to be for Spider-Man the video game, right?
Yes,
Because
stealing
we're
all
gonna
my
be learning-
hypes.
We're going to be learning more about that next week. Well, you made me go first, you son of a bitch. My third hype is just going to be a general E3-ness because there's always so much about E3. Like everything we come away talking about, and I'm thinking about like all the games I was really hyped about last year, like Monster Hunter World and Anthem and stuff like that, were shit that like we just couldn't have known about beforehand, you know?
Yeah.
There's probably going to be something that just comes out of left field and absolutely floors me, and I'm going to be in love with it until I forget about it, and then 10 years down the line, I'm going to realize that game never came out, and that's just the way things go. But next week, I'll be really excited. And then my fourth and final hype is going to be, fingers crossed, I don't know, maybe I'm sure everybody probably knows more about what's going on in the zeitgeist than I do, because I've been really kind of unplugged lately, but maybe something really cool Star Wars related out of E3 play or EA play.
Well,
yeah, probably.
Vince Impala, who is the co-founder of Respawn Entertainment, who made Titanfall, last year they announced they were working on a Star Wars game, and he tweeted this week, "Oh, is E3 next week?" And people started losing their shit a bit. So who knows?
I hope so. We'll find out on Saturday.
Hey, we'll see.
Because if that's going to be there, that will certainly be
also,
at the EA press conference.
I still think Titanfall would be a great series to make a transition into Battle Royale.
I'd play it.
Dude.
That would be cool.
I think
that would be cool. Even as someone who doesn't really care about Battle Royale, that would be cool.
That would be fun.
Yes.
Cool. Come on.
All right, Nolan?
My 4-player minute starts now. My hype, E3, obviously. It's next week. I'm super excited for it. My sweat is for Vampyr. I just don't know where that game's going to go. I really want to enjoy it. I'm definitely going to keep playing it, though. My thank you is going to Sony. I appreciate them doing these smaller announcements before the show so they can reserve the time they have for the big announcements that I know is coming. I'm excited for that. And my fuck you is going to go to IO Interactive. Some of the stuff they've shown so far for Hitman makes it not seem crazy enough. You talk about, oh, costume, blah, blah, blah. That's not crazy enough for me. I want fucking Hitman on, like, a bullet train. I want, like, a whole level on a bullet train, and you're fucking kicking people off, and you're, like, on the roof, and you're shooting people, and I want fucking dressing up as Santa Claus and shooting out the bottom of a fucking glass hot tub to kill your target. I want to be on a fucking, like, on Hawaii, and, like, fucking, this is Spartaing a guy into a fucking volcano. I want crazy shit. I want
stow away on a space shuttle, sneak aboard the International Space Station, and kill an astronaut.
Yes, that is what I want.
You want that
and
DLC
then you're like, okay,
episode.
how do I get out of here?
I want this. I want insane, over the top shit from. I don't want the serious brooding, like, whatever. That's fine. I want to dress up as a fucking clown and fucking poison a hot dog and feed it to a dog and then have sex with a guy's wife. I want the crazy shit.
I'm glad that wasn't connected to the
I want the crazy shit. That's what I want.
You should play the Sapienza bonus episode.
All right, I'll play it, but still, like,
it was a movie theater set.
I want the crazy shit.
That was pretty crazy.
It sounds like Nolan needs to dive back into Hitman.
I probably will.
Cool. Chris Davis.
My big hype this week is today's announcement about Hitman 2. That game looks fucking... And that sniper challenge, I always love that sniper little mini game that they put out for Absolution. And now that that's actually getting like a proper mode in this new release, like, fuck yeah.
You know what? You know what's funny about Hitman? It is really hard to tell the difference from a marketing perspective between any other games because they all use the same, like, promo art. It's always the red background, which is cool for consistency's sake. But, like, when I was, like, looking up art for, like, this background today, I was like, I can't tell what's Hitman Season 1, what's Hitman Absolution, what's
that could
Hitman
be
2.
That could be Hitman 2 Silent Assassin.
It could be. Who knows?
How come in this, like, promo picture we have right here, this isn't his silver baller, you know?
Dude, I don't
Who
fucking
picks
know.
up other guns
But it
from
is,
time
I
to time?
guess, because it has his logo right here. It's just black and boring.
Yeah.
I will,
That's not
fi-
Blackball.
I will fight you.
Blackball.
I'm so sorry.
It's his LeBron James.
I don't know.
Like,
I don't know how to respond.
I'm
Just waiting to see if there's blowback.
My main sweat this week is for E3 because, you know, that E3 glitch where they announced, like, day 1 ended. What did you think? Made me realize, oh my god, when I get to E3 day 3, it's basically going to feel like A3 day 18. And we're going to be tired as fuck.
I'm hoping it's not as painful this year because we are only going for the show floor, basically.
I mean, I would agree with you if we didn't have a 5 a.m. flight as well the next day.
Hey, man, I have shit to do. I got to get back to Austin.
Hey, come on, man.
You don't need sleep.
My I guess another sweat I have is I came this close to buying the complete edition of Horizon today. It was $20 at Best Buy.
Why didn't you not do that?
What?
I don't know if it still is, but
Why didn't you fucking, like, put that in Discord, bro?
Oh my
I
god!
just, you know how busy I've been.
Are you telling me Horizon?
You
is
had
not
enough
worth-
time to look at Horizon at Best Buy.
That's a good point.
It was on Twitter. It was
Are
on
you-
Twitter.
Are
Calm
you
down
telling
now.
me Horizon is not worth $20 to you?
Like, I didn't get around to it.
Yeah, $20 is.
Maybe once the show ends, I'll go home and pick it up.
Oh my god, you should.
But like,
Wow.
my fuck you goes to the public. That's going to be 83 because I mean, like, dudes.
Hey, dude.
No offense, but like, you're really going to stink up the joint.
Are you talking about literally?
Like, quite literally and figuratively in a way.
Dude, we've been going to this thing for like 8-9 years now, and it has been that way every year, even when it wasn't open to the public. It's just a general thing. Happens at PAX. Happens at E3. People need to remember to shower.
And also,
It's a general convention thing.
Yeah. And I'll give an additional fuck you to myself because I'm not, the hype hasn't hit me yet. Like I'm not hyped for E3 just yet, but I know it's going to hit as soon as the press conference starts.
Yeah, it'll happen Sunday. It'll happen Sunday.
Yeah,
or maybe Saturday if EA actually brings the noise. Are you done? Is that you?
Yes.
Is that you?
That's
all right. I'm gonna do. Okay, so my first hype's for Sony at E3. Mostly, I mean, first of all, I'm excited for all 4 of the games they're gonna be focusing on. I'm excited for all 4 of them. Want to know more about all those things. But in particular, I'm hoping there's a lot of rumors flying around. We talked about this on 4Player Plus. Shadows Die Twice. I'm hoping we finally get clarification on what that is, and if it's at all what there have been rumors is going to be, that it's going to be like a Japanese horror style Souls game. Holy fucking shit! Yes, I'll take it. The other
reel in that hype.
The other hype,
reel it in.
Sony related, is that there's lots of rumors that Devil May Cry 5 is going to be announced at Sony, and there's rumors that it's going to be exclusive to PlayStation. I don't know. It just seems like it's going to be at Sony. My sweat is the Avengers project. Mostly because there's been a lot of conversation about that as to what that could be or how that could be, like what kind of game that could actually be. There's rumors about it being a reboot of Marvel Ultimate Alliance, but being called the Avengers Ultimate Alliance. And obviously everyone's talking, like Brad was in Discord the other day talking about how it has to be something where you're switching back and forth between characters, and he was talking about it's more likely it's going to be something like Ultimate Alliance or something even akin to like Lara Croft and the Guardian of Light, where it's kind of like, you know, top down isometric, like, you know, that kind of thing. And like, if that's what it is, I don't think I'm interested.
But I mean, Ultimate Alliance and the X-Men Legends, they had their audiences, and
they did pretty well. I'm sure they'll find their audience.
Legends was pretty good.
It just means if that turns out to, but there's also been rumors that it's something more akin to like Infamous, where it's like a third-person action game in an open world kind of thing, where you're doing certain parts of the game as different members of the Avengers. Like, that's way more up my alley. If it turns out to be something more like what they've been other rumors are, like, it just sadly, even though it's going to probably find its audiences and be super successful, it's just not for me, and I probably won't play it, and that's kind of sad.
You're a bad person.
I'm a bad person. And my last hype is man, fuck it, I don't know. E3 in general. Shit.
Dude, whatever Rocksteady's working on? You think we'll see that?
Yes! I think we'll absolutely know what the fuck that is this time next week. Oh my god. I said this on Twitter.
Big.
I said this on Twitter, but this time next week, we're gonna know so much that we don't know now. And that shit's exciting.
And then we're not getting like any news for like a month and a half.
And I don't care. I'll be overloaded on news.
We're just gonna go home with our dicks in our hands and wait.
So
okay.
I wanted to let that awkward silence just sit there for a second before we're done. All right, that's our show, guys. Thank you so much for listening. This is our last regular show before E3, so be sure tune in. It's not Saturday, Sunday. We're gonna be, like I said, we'll be going live
Sunday,
early afternoon, probably around noonish, and we'll be playing games all day and live commentating the press conferences and recording a podcast at the end of the day. So should be lots of fun on Sunday. So we hope you guys will join us for that. If you want to come to the community meetup, if you're in the LA area on next Thursday, please head on over to 4playernetwork.com. You can find the post. We have all of our details there. If you're going to go, please RSVP, leave a comment, let us know you're planning on going. That way we kind of know how many people are going to show up. discord.gg/4player. Download our episodes of 4Player Plus. I'm really looking forward to doing more of those episodes. I've had a lot of fun doing them so far. Of course, we won't be one next week because we'll be in LA. But the week after that, we'll get back to it. And yeah, that's our show, guys. Thanks for listening / watching. We'll catch you guys on Sunday for the beginning of our E3 2018 coverage.
The onslaught.
The onslaught begins. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.